Okay, we're back from executive session. Sorry it took a little bit longer than we expected. This is June 12th, 2018, 5:30 p.m. at the Memorial Town Hall. We're going to start with announcements. The announcement I have is this Thursday is Flag Day, June 14th. At 6 o'clock at the Pavilion, there will be a ceremony. It's pretty neat with the Boy Scouts, the Legion, and some members of the fire department. If you have any American flags you want to retire, that's the place to bring them. You have any announcements?
Actually, I do. I just want to mention that Ceci Pielis passed last week. She was an EMT for many years. Hated to give it up when she gave it up. Small in stature, but I've been on many calls with her. And she'd put this largest person in their place. If you don't get in my ambulance, I'm going home and you can stay here and bleed. But so we'll miss her. Condolences to her family. And also happy 80th birthday to Father Coonan.
Wonderful. Lydia.
And, regarding the flag drop-off, there is also a drop-off box. People can bring in their flags to the town hall and drop them in the drop-off box.
Thank you. We'll go to public forum. Do I have anybody here for public forum? Come right up to the microphone and introduce yourself. I'm just letting people know that Ryan Moriarty will be here. He had to go to a meeting. He'll be back, so go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on Mike Cahill's community forum. I think it was a week or two ago about the audit, that I think we should get that on the Selectmen's agenda at a televised meeting, because there's a lot of important stuff in there. Some recommendations that I think would be helpful, and it would be nice to have public input on that.
Which audit are you talking about?
The one that's on the town website right now.
The forensic audit that was just
Forensic
reviewed?
audit,
Oh,
yes.
Yes, on
I'm
the
sorry.
town's, yes.
Yeah.
I followed up with Mr. Sullivan. He, at this time, has no further recommendations.
I'm not suggesting that we have him come necessarily. I was going to have it discussed. I would suggest publicly discussing the various points that he's already made, such as on March 7th, he very strongly recommended not combining the collector and treasurer positions. And that would have been, as Mike pointed out, at town meeting, very important to have known. So when we discussed that article, we would have had that information.
Okay. I'm just thinking at a previous meeting, Christopher, I think you or Michael had said something about further investigation, and Mr. Sullivan doesn't feel that that is necessary.
No, I'm not suggesting that. I think it was very enlightening all by itself.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else here for public forum? All right. I'm going to move. We're going to be moving around in topics, but our first topic will be with Ed Lesko, the Hatfield. He's a co-chair with Lori Banis on the 350th anniversary committee. So they're here to give us an update and turn it over to you guys.
Thank you. Tonight we're here to bring forward the winners of the poster contest. And what we have is we have 3 finalists and the winner. We had 49 applicants that had put their pictures in for the logo contest. And we went through them. It was a hard decision to cut it down to 4, but we did. And tonight is going to be the first time that anybody knows whose they are and whatever. So I'd like to go forward with that. And
Okay.
this is the first one that.
For the camera.
And this was voted through all anonymously. We don't know until right now. This one was submitted by current resident Ryan Flanagan of 118 Elm Street of Hatfield. And he was one of the finalists.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you very much. Second finalist?
And townsfolk voted on these both at town meeting and during town election day. They were given the opportunity. The second one is a town employee, Kai Eno of Hastings Street in Chicopee. Thank you. Key, sorry, I debated. Did my best. Third finalist is a graduated senior, 2018, Smith Academy, Connor Phil of State Road in Whately.
Yes, thank you very much.
And we did have about 678 ballots cast for these during the two times.
Now, the winner is from here.
No,
The-
the tractor.
This will be our main logo for the 350th in 2020.
They got the most votes of them all, naturally,
Yeah.
and did an excellent job. And we're inviting everyone to our meeting next, in 2 weeks, and go from there and thank them and so on. So,
And this is by a town resident, Madeline Nagy, N-A-G-Y, did I say it right? Of 40 Elm Street in Hatfield. And we do invite her to our next meeting on the 18th at 6 o'clock at the Safety Complex.
Nice.
Congratulations to Madeline.
And town folks are invited to the meetings too, if they'd like to come.
318 votes that town residents voted for him, out of the 678.
Thank you to all who entered, who voted.
Everyone, like I said, did an excellent job in getting forward the drawings and so on. And we have the exclusive rights to all the drawings. This is the signature that everybody, they signed off on. So even though the finalist is here for all the logos, we have the right to use that at any time in the town. That's what we set up. So if we found that we would like to do something else for the sign or something like that, we can use the other ones besides this one here. Okay. Thank you very much.
Lori, when is the next meeting?
June 18th, Monday at 6 o'clock. And we will be putting out a thing and making ourselves, now that we have a logo, we'll really be moving forward, and we're looking for any volunteers, anyone in town who wants to help with the parade, an art show, luminarium. There's a bunch of events we have planned throughout the year, so we are definitely open for volunteers. There is a Hatfield 350 website. Go to that, and we'll be starting a Facebook page, so please reach out.
And our meetings are open to the public. Our next meeting is the 18th of June. And if anyone would like to attend, please do so and come and join us. And hopefully they'll volunteer their time on a subcommittee or just help out in some way or another. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys again, to you and your committee for all the work you're doing on this, because I know it's a long process and there's a lot involved in it, so there's a lot of work. So thank you once again for doing it.
Yeah, and if people don't know, Sunderland Celebration is this weekend with their parade.
So it's the Strawberry Festival, right? Yeah.
There's quite a few
Question for these
events
guys.
Saturday in
Just for the
Sunderland.
public's information, could you guys outline the members of your steering committee and the various committees that you have established at this point?
We have,
Are you prepared to, could you do that tonight? or-
for the members?
Yeah, the members of your steering committee and the subcommittees that you've established.
Okay, the subcommittees we don't have, we're going to be discussing that at our next meeting. But our committee members, I'll see if I can go through them all. There's Diana Higgins, there's Mike Poshik, myself, Lori Banis, there is Lucinda Williams, there is
Bobby Betzold,
Bob Betzel,
Anna Holhut,
And
No,
Chris,
there's
Lino Masta.
Master?
Lino
Lino
Masta.
Masta, and Chair Nicholas.
Chair Nichols.
There's
Yeah.
nine of us
So we have
on
people
it.
from historical, agriculture.
So we're moving forward. We're working with the gala, which
Bless
is
you.
coming up next year. It'd be on the New Year's Eve, okay, at the log cabin, okay? Tickets will be on sale hopefully this year sometime. I'm not sure exactly what time it is and what day or whenever they're gonna be available, but they'll be noticed. And we have many things. The parade is set, I believe, for June
13th, 12th, 13th.
12th or 13th it is, in 2020. And let's see, we have other things that are going on, talking
dance.
with the various committees.
Block dance.
We'll have a block dance.
Right. We're
Firemen are
also-
hoping on a muster.
Yeah, we have to firm up some of the things that are still out there. The Historical Commission and the Society are putting on multiple events throughout the year. And we are also creating a calendar of events that will be available for the public. It'll tell all the events that are going on within the year, anything that's happening in Hatfield for the year 2020, and those calendars will be on sale probably a couple months, probably in October, September, October of 2021.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to the next topic. We do have a 6:45 with the Finance Committee scheduled, so I'll try to go through a couple of these topics as we move along. We're going to move to topic 4, Marlene, the Recreational Trails Grant and Student Conservation Association. Can you fill us in on that one?
Yes, this is a grant agreement with the Commonwealth. This is for the recreational hiking trail on White Rock, it's actually White Rock Hiking Trail on Horse Mountain. This was a project that was approved at town meeting, and actually at the annual town meeting this year, we had an article for funding, but it's a reimbursable grant. So if the board could vote to approve the grant agreement and the standard contract agreement with the Commonwealth. And also in your packet is an agreement between the Student Conservation Association and the town. This is a group that the Open Space Committee has been in communication with. There's approximately 10 students that will be working on the trail, which is private property. They will be camping out on town property during that time frame, approximately 10 days. And this will be during the month of August, between August 13th and August 22nd. They'll be up there working on the trail. And Mr. Burke, the owner, included in your packet is a letter from Mr. Burke that states that these individuals have authorization to be on his property.
And whose property is that? So they're set with the camping property? Because that was my
They're
only
camping
question.
on town property.
Okay, and is that all
The-
set? Do we know where?
Yes, that is, well, camping on town property will be just up past the reservoir.
Okay.
Past the watershed. The trail is being constructed on Mr. Burke's property,
Right.
which is, yeah,
Yeah.
parcel 209.
And the only other thing I saw that the town has to provide is potable water? So
Correct.
Are we set with that also?
Yes,
Water?
Open Space is going to be doing that. Actually,
Great.
Mark had said he'll probably be making daily trips up there.
Okay, thank you.
Now, everybody's looked at the contracts and they're in agreement with
Yes,
this?
yes,
So you're just looking for our approval?
for approval and
Okay,
signatures.
I'll make a motion to accept this contract for the Recreational Trails Grant and Student Conservation Association.
Okay, I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Not more than what we just had, no.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So be it. I'm going to move to topic 5. What we might do is get as much as we can done, then when the Finance Committee comes here, we'll just switch to the Finance Committee, and then we'll finish our meeting at the end. Topic 5 is to accept a resignation letter from Ron Sassy, Planning Board. They moved to the Cape. I'll make a motion to accept his resignation.
Okay, I'll second that.
So this, yes, this resignation is from the planning board.
Yep.
And if the planning board, I have not received notification from the planning board. Key, have you received anything from them? From the planning board. So they need to write to the Board of Selectmen if they wish to have this vacancy filled. Otherwise, if not, then it would just be vacant until the next annual election. I don't think we want to wait until next May. So I mean, as soon as we hear something from the planning board, we'll put that on the.
So all we can do now is accept his resignation. Okay,
Correct.
so there was a motion made to accept his resignation.
Yes.
Okay, we got a second. Any discussion?
No.
Motion moves. Topic 6 is appointment to Conservation Commission, correct?
Yes, Harrison Bardwell has expressed interest in being appointed to fill the vacancy on the Conservation Commission. That vacancy was created by Ron Sassy.
I'll make a motion to accept Harrison Bardwell to the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Thank you,
carries.
Harrison.
Okay, topic 7, there was an issue with topic 7, correct, Marlene? Because we already approved this Class 2 license,
Right,
but there
so-
was some issue.
Correct. The license was approved, however, it was granted to Big B's Auto Body, and the license needs to be granted to Brandon LeBlanc, doing business as Big B's Auto Body.
Okay, so this is just a state type of thing that they
State
want.
is requiring that, yes, Mass DOT.
Well, since we prior approved it, I will make a motion to grant this license to Brandon LeBlanc, DBA Big B's Auto Body.
And if I could second that and just wait for discussion. These were the items that weren't on the original, were they on the original? The original agenda, you had the packet, and then when you came in tonight, you left me the copies of the stuff that you added. When we came out of executive session, they were gone. So anything new, I don't have. They were here. So somebody must be reading them or something. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if somebody took the
With the-
material,
yeah.
I don't know, and are they under
Maybe
the
someone's seen it.
revised agenda? Your revised agenda, are they under there?
I don't. No, I had this in the other room. Thank you.
Okay.
No, I have that. I'm just saying these new items that she added since we picked up the packets today. She brought, but they're not here any longer. Okay, vote on that one then. That's the same one we did.
So we'll
do
just
you
need
want
the
to vote
board,
on that?
the board needs to vote to grant the license to Brandon LeBlanc.
Aye.
Okay.
LeBlanc.
And you just got, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Could you just back up for a moment? I just want to make a correction. I think I stated that the appointment of Harrison Bardwell was to fill Ron Sassy's position, and I know that in our packet, this is actually replacing Jan Adamski's position, and not Ron?
Right. it
I
was-
just, for clarification, I just,
Yeah, I just.
okay,
The first vacancy I hit, there's a couple of
okay, I
vacancies.
understand,
The first
okay.
vacancy I hit was when Jan decided
Yeah.
not to be reappointed in 2016, so.
okay. I didn't realize, I knew Ron had resigned recently,
Right,
so I
and
thought it was his
It just has to
position.
do with the terms and
Sure.
what year, so.
Okay.
It has to be specific.
Okay. All right, so there was a motion made and seconded to grant that Class 2 license?
Yes.
Ms.
Yes, and we
LeBlanc?
both
Okay.
already voted unanimously.
Okay.
And that was approved.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to skip to topic 12, agreement with the diocese for use of space. As you're aware, COA's been looking for a space for the town hall renovations, and we have an agreement. I believe Marlene can fill us in with the St. Joe's, or as it is, Our Lady of Grace Church today.
Yes. So this is for use of space at Our Lady of Grace Parish on School Street. I have been in communication with William LeBrod, who is the finance director for the diocese, and this is their agreement. Legal counsel reviewed it. There was one change made under item number 6, and inserted is to, so the first line, the organization, but not its individual members, legal counsel recommended to insert, to the extent permitted by law, agrees to fully protect, defend, and indemnify the diocese and the parish and their employees and agents, so on and so on. The rest of it, legal counsel approved.
And the COA's all been in agreement with this?
I notified the COA.
Yes.
And Father Coonan is expecting this once the selectmen approve it, and he will sign it.
You just need an approval from us then, correct?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to accept the agreement with the diocese for use of the space by the COA during the town hall renovation project.
Second?
Any discussion?
No?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Question from the audience, if I could, quick question.
Yes.
Will the town's insurance policy need to be amended to now cover that additional space at Our Lady of Grace?
Yeah, Marlene checked on that.
We're indemnifying, obviously, the diocese and the Our Lady of Grace.
Correct.
But hopefully, we're amending our insurance policy as well to
We have
cover that.
consulted with Maya about
Okay,
this.
great.
Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. I'm going to move to topic 13, Smith Academy Park project update.
So
With you,
is-
Marlene.
Everyone probably has noticed that the landscaping improvements, sidewalks are complete, and we just closed out last week with the Department of Environmental Affairs regarding the grant. There was a $50,000 grant, and that was actually a borrowing, and we have submitted all our required reports, and the state should be issuing a check to the town very soon. Okay, that portion of the project has closed out. Open Space Committee and myself recently solicited architectural services for the construction, for the design and construction of the pavilion. So
Okay.
that is underway, and we don't expect that construction of the pavilion to start until next year.
And they'll be having drawings in the next couple months,
They're,
right?
they're just, I have to work on putting the agreement together for the architect.
Okay. Is our finance committee here? Because I was,
Not yet.
Yeah, they're next door.
Yeah, oh,
They're in your
They
office.
had
or
business to
someone's
do.
office.
oh, they have business to do, okay.
but if we're ready for them, we can,
Want me to-
I'll see if, well, they may not be ready.
And update, topic 14, while we're here, Green Communities Grant Project update.
And with the Green Communities Grant Project, I closed that out. There was one last component to that project, and that was the education and outreach with Pioneer Valley. Ray Santero, he did the design, graphic and design work. And people may notice the posters in Town Hall. I have additional posters that will be going to the school. And on the town's website is a report of the energy saving projects that we completed for fiscal year 17. And on that website, in that link, there's a tab for each project. And if you click on that tab, there's a chart that shows the savings that we expect as a result of the work that was done in each one of those facilities. So the elementary school, they changed out the lighting, LED lighting, and the library, the fire station, the wastewater treatment plant, it was weatherization projects, or weatherization measures. That was what the project consisted of. So yes, that was the library, wastewater treatment plant, and this one, fire station. And
And-
Smith Academy also.
And that's all on the town's website.
That is
so-
available on the town's website.
And so you'll see something like this with all the savings and how much savings we've gotten from the LED changeouts and the grant. So it will definitely pay for itself over the course of the next few years.
Right, and we
And
anticipate.
it was done with a grant, so.
We anticipate the next payment from the Department of Energy and Resources to the town for that project.
Okay, all right. Finance committee is not ready? Okay.
I'm not sure.
Phil, I'm
I
going to
hear
move to topic 8. Can you give us an update on the water transmission main phase 3 bidding? You can step up to the mic and,
In your packet, there should be a letter from Comprehensive Environmental recommending Gillaher Construction for the project. Phil. So in your packet, there's a letter from Comprehensive Environmental for the award to Gillaher Construction in the amount of $780,800. So town meeting voted $740,000. So the project, that was a low bid, so the project's over. So the first change order that's coming after the contract is signed is there's gonna be a change order for final pavement for $75,000, which Gillaher will not do. We will do it under the Chapter 90 program. So that's gonna save the $75,000 on that. So it will come under.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, actually, and that saves the town 35,000 because
Correct.
they approved 740, we're 780, right? So
Correct.
it's really gonna cost the town 705.
Right.
Good, thank
And,
you.
you know, I mean, our prices for blacktop under the HCOG is a lot cheaper than a contractor to come in and do it. You know, they're getting $125 a ton, we're paying $58 to put it in place, so.
Can I ask a question? On the bid, on line C11E, furnished in place infrared heat treatment, state roads, is that something that just has to go on the state road to connect with it, or, you know, Chestnut Street not being a state road? I was just wondering what that meant.
Yes,
It has a cost of $6,000, so is that something that's being done on Route 5 in connection with it?
yes,
Okay, and what exactly is that, do you know?
don't really know, but,
But it's on,
I know we have all
it's
the
on Route
state,
5?
we have all Mass DOT permits in place, so.
Okay.
Yes. So I will get clarification on exactly what that is, but I'm sure it's under the Mass DOT permit.
So Phil, can you just give us quickly,
Sure.
this is phase 3 of the water main project?
So it's called.
Okay, I'm a little confused. I thought
Okay,
it was
so
phase 2, but
this
can you
is taking-
describe where it begins and
Sure.
where it'll end?
This is taking us from where they left off in front of Brockway Smith. And they're gonna come up Chestnut Street, over the Mill River, back under to Gore Avenue.
Okay.
Because the main.
Over the Mill River.
Over the Mill River, it's a separate suspension bridge just for that utility. Because obviously the Chestnut Street Bridge has no utility bay to carry the loads.
And that'll be south of the existing bridge.
Yeah, downstream, yes, yes. You know, and that's the biggest part of the
Yeah.
project.
okay, I'm going to move to the finance committee now because we are scheduled to meet with you guys, so we've been jumping around here, so we're going to go with, start
Yeah,
with.
well, want to make sure you're done with Phil.
Well, the only thing is that the board has to vote to award the contract to Gillaher.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you want any discussion on awarding of the contract?
Lowest bidder,
Lowest bidder,
they've done work on phase 1, if I'm not mistaken.
correct.
So, I mean,
Yes.
it's familiarity with the project, I think that's worth something. It's a project that started with Mr. Lesko. So I will make a motion to award the bid to Comprehensive Environmental Incorporated for Phase 2 of the water transmission line.
I'll second that.
No.
Well, no, it's to be awarded to Gillaher.
Oh,
But you
my
did the wrong
apologies.
Comprehensive is the
They
engineer,
wrote the report to Gillaher, yep. Look, all those hands went
right?
up.
It's for Gillaher is the,
Project to
Is the
Gillaher
contract.
Construction.
And that's the same one that had the previous.
Merlin,
yes.
because this award is under the vote that was taken at town meeting that was referred to as phase 2. There is not a vote for phase 3. I know they're referring to this as phase 3, but the vote at town meeting.
We're talking about the article for 740,000 for phase.
It's phase 2
Right,
in
I
the
think I did say
article.
phase 2, but
Yes.
I'll redo the whole thing.
Okay, I didn't catch that.
That's all right, so, Go
But
ahead.
do we have to take it as phase 2, as that was the
Was
vote
the
at town meeting?
article warrant was
I
for
think that's
phase
what Louise
2?
is saying.
Correct.
So why
So
are
we're
we
gonna
calling
follow
this
that.
phase 3?
I have no idea. Well, because we did that other little section with the state money. You know, that might have been phase 2 when the state awarded us the
When they put this
385,000,
together, right,
where we went under 90.
Jacked under 91.
Phase 2 was under 91.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was state, all state money.
yeah. So from their perspective, it's phase 3, but from our perspective, it's phase 2, from a financial perspective. So I will make a motion to award the project for phase 2 of the water treatment line to Gielaher Construction.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made, motion second. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Thanks for all your work on that, Phil.
So this is money we appropriated at last year's town meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
That so we're borrowing additional, the 700,000 is basically a borrow?
It's already borrowed.
I don't
No,
believe it has been
should not
borrowed
be
yet, has it?
borrowed, not yet, because you haven't done the work.
I didn't think it had been borrowed yet.
We haven't borrowed it yet.
Correct,
They
Okay,
haven't borrowed it yet.
right,
yeah,
It's not on your debt schedule yet.
right.
yeah, no, but it's debt exclusion.
And
It's debt
Edwina had a
exclusion.
conversation with you recently about that, right?
Debt,
Yeah,
which makes a difference.
right, she had wanted to know when the construction
Yep.
was actually starting.
Okay. Sorry, I mean, I just
No,
curious.
good question.
And Phil, what's the timeline?
As soon as the contract's awarded, I mean, they're ready to come in, so.
And they think,
I don't think they'll do the bridge part of it this year. I think, because that's the biggest part. They have to have it manufactured, you know, they have to send it out to have somebody build, so I don't think that's gonna happen, but they surely can start laying pipe,
so you're looking at like a 9 to 12 month,
I would say, at
Build out.
least. At least. Then we'll let the road settle for the winter,
Yeah.
and then come back and pave it.
Now we'll go with the Finance Committee.
Okay.
Did you guys vote?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, did you complete that vote?
No.
Yeah.
The vote was made.
Yes.
It was made and seconded.
But it wasn't
Okay.
changed to, I don't know if it was changed to the proper phase, though.
My motion was changed to the proper
Yeah.
We
phase.
already said
Then
phase
it's
2.
done.
He did
That was
change
changed
the
it, okay. Then we did vote.
We changed the motion, we voted it, and it went through, so the contract can be awarded.
Okay.
just a technical question, will the contract need to be revised from phase 3 to phase 2? That might be an issue.
On which one?
A contract with the contractor. If
The wording.
If that reads phase 3, it might want to be, you might want to revise that to phase 2.
Okay, we'll have to check that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that the contract is about the specifics of the project regardless of what we call it. I think to vote on it as the Board of Selectmen as how it was worded at town meeting is one thing. Yeah, this, I mean, you know, because if they already did a phase 2, you know what I mean? I don't know. We can check. I mean, it's worth looking into, Mike, but, you know. Hopefully it's just, we can call it whatever we want as long as we're gonna write them a check for $780,000. I know. We don't need any other special town meetings for anything.
Whatever debt there is for the town, there's an underwriter, and the underwriter turns around and says, hey, you guys want to borrow $740,000, and the town meeting article says phase
Right,
2,
oh.
and the contract that I'm looking at is phase 3.
Right.
It doesn't match, so you don't want to.
Change it before we sign it.
All right. Any more questions on this subject? Now we'll go with the Finance Committee.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How is everyone doing? So, we did take care of a couple of minor, there were 2 requests for transfers from our reserves fund. One from Marlene for her expense budget. And she was looking for, she needed $2,410 to be transferred to that account. So we did that.
Thank you.
to take care of a bill that she needs to pay. And then we had a $1,500 request from the assessors to take care of a bill that they needed to pay because they don't have enough money in their balance to pay it. So anyway, that got taken care of, so I can pass that to you. So what's the plan?
Okay, Marlene's had conversation with Justin, and Marlene's had conversation with Tony, and I think you were part of that conversation too, or?
I talked to Marlene this
Okay.
afternoon.
All right, so,
When stuff happened last week, I was we were probably all led to believe that there wasn't gonna be a special town meeting, so I guess that's the question right now. Do we have our ducks in a row that we're gonna be able to go forward with a town meeting?
So yes, it's accurate that based on the meeting we had with the auditor, Tony Roselli, last Thursday, due to a number of errors that needed to be resolved, it was unlikely that he would be able to complete the audit and have a draft report on June 11th and filed with DOR. He had said that it looked as though he would begin developing that draft report the week of June 18th. So it was unlikely that we would be able to have a town meeting. Just didn't seem reasonable. However, over the weekend, there were some developments. And actually, last Thursday evening, before he left this building, one of the errors was resolved. Over the weekend, there were some other developments. Mr. Zelli sent out an email to Justin, the accountant, and myself that they had pretty much resolved all the issues and felt confident that he could file a draft report on the 18th. However, between now and then, should there be any other issues that come up, then that would delay the process. He outlined what needed to be done on the town side, and those are adjustments that the accountant and Justin need to work out. And Justin responded to me on Sunday. I had asked him for an update on the plan going forward. And he's working on Schedule A. Actually, he's in the office tonight. I'm sorry, Monday night. He was in the office and would be finishing up later this week on Schedule A. He anticipates filing simultaneously Schedule A and free cash on Monday, the 18th. Today, I received an email from the auditor. We were just communicating, 'cause we're having a meeting tomorrow to see if he was available for that meeting. He is available via conference call, but he just wanted to make me aware that he was also in communication with Justin and the accountant regarding some other issues they had found, but they had pretty much worked those out with the exception of one. And he just needs the accountant to get back to him on that.
Okay.
So from what I can see, everything is still progressing as planned.
Mr. Chairman, Ed, do we have an idea when the accountant will be getting back to him with whatever information he's looking for?
I forwarded Tony's inquiry into the error he's looking at and asked him to, look into that as soon as possible. The accountant was out yesterday and today, and my understanding is he will be back in the office tomorrow.
So we can expect that he'd work on it tomorrow?
I would expect that he would be working on that first thing.
Okay, thank you.
now since we already scheduled for a special
We don't have
town
to file the
meeting.
warrant till tomorrow,
Has to be filed tomorrow for June 27th.
so.
But I mean, we could, if something changed after the 18th or before the 18th, we could cancel, right?
We would have to.
You would.
But
So-
I mean, to have it, we got to have 14 days notice, but to
Yep.
cancel it, we only need a couple days notice.
I don't know the legalese on that, but probably Louise would know that better than anybody. Right.
We have, in the last, it was a very long time ago, and as I recall, the moderator and myself went there and
Right.
announced that there wasn't going to be a meeting.
I recall that as well. The moderator has to,
Okay.
Moderator
Be
and the
present
town
and-
clerk have to go to the site and then notify people that there isn't. Obviously, you could publicize it ahead of time.
Right, so as a finance committee, we did talk about this a little bit, and hopefully everyone else will chime in, and we're clearly concerned about the $81,000 or so of bills that are attached to fiscal year 18, and the problems that presents itself if we don't take care of them in fiscal 18. They would have to be held, it would be a prior year bill, it would have to be paid at another town meeting. So I think we're okay with trying for the town meeting to say that we're confident that in the accountant and what's transpired so far. I would say we have a very low confidence, and we hope nothing else gets found between now and next Monday, but, you know, it's been a long road, so, I don't know, does anybody else wanna chime in, or?
Well, my question is, even if we don't get all the paperwork filed and we don't get our free cash, we still have these outstanding bills that need to be attended to.
Yep.
And would we need town meeting approval to attend to those?
if we don't have
If we
the
don't have it,
money
our-
available.
The only possibility we have is at the end of the year, we could transfer money. We know, I believe you told me, between police and some other department.
Police, fire, and council on aging, and the town clerk's office have notified me that they will be turning back
And I
money.
think that's roughly $40,000, so that's half of it. The assessors, I talked to Jenny today and talked to Marlene. Jenny said typically they turn money back, but as we just transferred, they don't have money to turn back this year. We might have some money in finance reserve left that we could put towards that, so we might get close to the 80.
I think all that is true, but it makes a really big presumption
Oh,
that you're
yeah.
not gonna need any money for anything else that you don't know about right now,
Right,
and that's never happened.
yeah.
You know, like it's never been the case that you haven't had any overruns, at least not in my memory, to deal with. So,
Right.
you know, if you can calculate up $40, $50, $60,000 in your head now, what about the $5, $10, $15, $20,000 that you're gonna need on the other side of that? You know, so
Yeah.
if you don't come up with the 80,000, you're gonna you have to go to
Yeah.
presumably you're gonna go to a special in the fall, and you won't be able to use free cash, so pay it out of stabilization.
Yeah.
That's the only option I see, unless you take care of it now somehow.
Right, the reason to be talking about these sort of things is there something that we need to put onto the warrant that we need to possibly pay attention to on a possible town hall floor because we didn't get free cash, because we would need to pay X, Y, and Z. So that's why we should be discussing this now.
Right, do we wanna just take, if we're gonna go to town meeting and we don't have free cash, do we just wanna take care of this somehow? That's the, and then hopefully, you get free cash next year to deal with it, deal with fixing the money that you had to use, but now,
And pretty much our choice would be, we could technically, well, our choice, other than free cash, would be stabilization.
or if you identified any actual serious amounts of money, you could move them,
We could
then
move
if you
them,
wanted to, I guess.
we could do it through town meeting rather than, right?
You could do either
So,
way.
What is the downside of moving forward with the meeting?
They don't,
Will we be able to accomplish anything?
Well, yeah, but we have to schedule it as of tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's scheduled, I mean.
yeah, think we should plan on it.
Of course.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah, I think the only question is, do you go forward with a half free cash or not? That's the
Yeah.
question.
right. Yeah, I don't think yeah.
I mean, you're
What
definitely
are
gonna-
people's comfort level with going to a special town meeting and say, let's take some more money out of,
Stabilization.
But
Stabilization.
we should know by the middle of next week what that free cash number is.
yeah.
If everything's filed timely on the 18th, which is Monday, we should have a pretty good idea by Wednesday, Thursday at the latest.
Right, but I guess what I would say is I don't want to say it's a lot easier, but I think it's easier to I'm with you guys, it's easier to schedule the meeting.
Yes.
And, and hope that the free cash numbers and everything stays rolling in a positive direction, so that next Tuesday we find out that on Monday everything got filed and we're good to go. If it didn't, or if we find out next week it didn't, I think we should have another meeting and decide. Because the town meeting's already scheduled, right? So what do we want to do? I mean,
Yeah.
so.
I agree.
Well, I think we have to figure it out, they may come back and say, well, we gave you, some low amount of free cash, and how are we gonna spend it versus if they come up with a higher amount. I
Right.
mean, we came up with a list last week, kind of priority list, and we'll have to
I think
go from there.
that's probably a good plan, and so
Yeah.
we have to post that potential meeting, a week in advance? I don't know.
Yeah.
So we should probably post a select.
A meeting for us, you mean,
Yes, for
combined.
us.
Meeting, yes,
So we
next
should post
week.
that too.
Right,
Either way.
Yeah, we'd probably want to do that
Exactly.
right,
regardless.
right. Paul, did you?
I just want to make sure that we don't need to add anything just in case to the warrants, because tomorrow is the deadline for that, correct?
The selectmen must sign it
Yeah.
today. I mean, they could come in tomorrow morning and sign. It does have to be posted tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to add that there was another article that was proposed for the warrant. However, it was a request submitted by DPW to capital planning to extend the water service on Straits Road from Cronin Hill north to Straits Road. And I had a conversation with the treasurer's office today, and certainly it's just the timing. Town council I can draft the article. That's the easy part. However, town council needs to review it. There just wasn't enough time. And it's entirely up to the board of selectmen as to whether it gets placed on the warrant. The other issue is funding. So we're looking at $98,000. Again, this was submitted to capital. Capital, I don't believe, has done anything with that. I don't know if they're recommending.
Unfortunately, it's
that.
not on the list.
Right. It's not. So it's just, I'm just putting it out there that,
That's one of those.
it's,
Yeah.
unless Water Enterprise can cover that cost, I don't recommend a borrowing right now.
Yeah, you wouldn't get my support for another
No.
borrowing. Sorry. I mean, and we had talked about, trying to take care of some of these things in the fall. Not that they're not important, not that water's not important, and I know that the residents there have an issue with that, and so I don't want to downplay it, but,
Yeah.
it feels a bit last minute, and we haven't really taken up any of the capital items.
Right. And Phil, when you and I had talked to you, I haven't had a chance to get back to you. I had, talked to the treasurer's office, and again, unless Water Enterprise can cover that cost, it just is not in our best interest to go out and do a borrowing.
Yeah, I don't.
I
Where
think
would
it's
it
Sharon
would-
here, Sharon Louise is here, right?
Again,
Probably
can I
agree.
just refresh my memory? I think I may have asked this question last time. Why is it so important that we have a town meeting by the end of this fiscal year?
Free
Cash
cash.
is gonna turn into a pumpkin, and
Free cash,
July 1.
free cash as of 17, assuming that
17's free
this whole
cash.
process
Yeah.
goes through as expected over the course of the next several days, would not be available until a year from now. As
No,
opposed to.
no, not until fiscal year 18 is booked.
Right.
And
18 or 17?
18. 18, and Schedule A is done and free cash is certified, which is typically done in the fall.
Which, given that we're working
Right.
on 17 right now, though.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I understand.
Right, and so, soon as it becomes July 1,
It goes
we,
away.
it goes away. We can't use that free cash until 18 is books are done. Am I right, Louise? Did I say that correctly?
Correct.
Correct, yeah.
It's a concern that this free cash that's going to be certified is the result of FY '17. You have another year's worth that no one knows if we are running at a profit or deficit because there is little to nothing booked in the accountant's office other than the expenditures.
Right.
And if the town is able to take the steps to get caught up and close the books when you should be closing the books, you would have a new free cash number early in the fall.
Right.
So yes, you're gonna lose, quote unquote, the certification of this free cash on June 30th if you haven't voted it. You're not gonna lose the money.
No.
Right.
you never
Right.
do.
All
It
right.
should be recertified.
So it's recertified.
Goes away again until the fall.
For the longest time in my career, we had, free cash was certified by the end of August. But
Right.
there
Right.
were functional departments and books were closed and the reports were filed. And there isn't any reason that the town cannot get back onto that cycle.
Right.
Now, it's going to take a boatload of decisions and effort to do that, but it is very possible to get caught up with the right decisions.
Right.
And then you could have a town meeting in the fall with a new free cash certified, knowing what the results are of 18.
Right.
Because if you're gonna go off to this town meeting and spend all this free cash and then find out that 18 had a deficit,
Then we're in
then what
trouble.
do you do?
Yeah, that's right. And I don't think, as a finance committee, we want to spend all the
Right,
free
yeah,
cash.
don't want
We
to,
want
yeah.
to take care of what we have to take care of.
And
And-
stop
So
there.
And stop.
What are you suggesting after all of that? What's your take on this? Are you suggesting that, I'm trying to, in my mind, I understand what you're saying, but what are you suggesting? That there's an absolute need for a special town meeting by the end of June or not?
Well, I think that I would definitely, I'd have to defer to the finance committee, because I don't know what the details are of the articles they want to get voted. If there's some critical items that they have to vote to close the year.
The
some.
critical items would feel like basically paying the FY '18 bills. that
Yeah.
we
Right.
don't, Which are
So what would happen
insurance.
if you didn't do that? If you didn't pay those fiscal 18?
Well, I mean,
They would roll over, obviously, as unpaid into
defer them
19.
right, and the people that you didn't pay, what would they do? Is it- I mean,
Well, couldn't you pay them with 19
No,
operating?
no.
No.
One of them is health insurance.
One of them is health
so
insurance.
I'm sure the insurance
They're not
trust
gonna-
has some process for people who don't pay. I mean, I just don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Right.
Never,
What are the deficits in?
Health
Health
insurance
insurance.
is $20,000, Smith Voc is $30,586, and then, BMH,
Bay State.
Bay State, accounting is 30,000.
And I'm looking right at Sean, aren't we able to certify those on the recap sheet, the health insurance? I think that we could have that conversation with Terry Williams tomorrow, but I think some of those are ones that you're allowed by law to put onto the recap sheet for the following year's tax rate. Maybe not all of them, but I think a couple of those.
Not Smith Voc,
Smith Boat?
What's that, transportation? What is that?
Yeah.
school-
Tuition transfer.
tuition transportation.
Is there any way that the school department can-
It's worth looking into. I mean,
Or you fund them from the stabilization,
yeah,
which
That's
I
what you were-
don't ever
Right.
want us to use, and I don't even know if we know what you have left in there right now.
yeah, we do.
141,000.
less than 100,000 in each.
Sean, you got that last.
Yeah.
141,000.
Is that what we think is left?
That is what's left
In
between the two
in
accounts.
right, adding the two of them together.
Correct.
Yeah.
76,000 on the stabilization and 65,000 on the town hall.
So to respond to the the implication about free cash, I wouldn't be spending all of free cash unless they only give us $80,000, and then, yeah, we might spend it all. But if it's anything more than that, we were just planning on kind of holding until we see what happens next.
Yeah. Well, and one of the questions I had, and sorry, Finance Committee, I failed to ask it before, is in the event that the select board decides to outsource our accounting service to, either completely to another firm, whether it's Bay State or Scanlon, doesn't matter who, will we have enough money between what we have set aside for the accountant's salary and for the $60,000 that we've added to your account for this year? Between those two, is that enough to cover us in the event that that decision is made? Because that would be the only other thing that I would think, if we think we need to add to that to make sure, now would be the time to at least talk about it.
Well, there was one question asked about that, and that was that one company said they felt that they could do the cost of the accounting for the same cost that we're paying for our accountant. But the other factor is, if we outsource accounting, do we now need a possible clerk to do data entry or not? I'm not sure. That's what my question is.
It's a great question, and I think some of that will be answered tomorrow, I hope, at that meeting. But it's something that I think we have to think about going forward, right?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it just feels like, I don't have a complete picture in my head yet, but it feels a little bit like we have to make some kind of decision about how we want to go forward now. We've bought and paid for all the problems that we can have, basically, and we can't afford any more.
Right.
Like, this is it. Any money we spend now is going to have to be a solution. Because if it's not a solution, it's
Right.
really bleak. Like, I just don't see, we're talking about, we have bills, prior bills,
15,
that could
16.
basically put us at zero, essentially. I mean, we'd have almost no money. But we really have to know, and like Louise raised a great point, we have no idea what's going on in 18.
Right.
Like, we all suspect that there's a bunch of free cash, and it's highly likely in some ways because there always has been free cash in years, but we don't actually know the answer to that.
No idea.
Terry.
As an outside person sitting here tonight who doesn't, I know most of you obviously know what's going on internally, but is there the assumption I'm taking from what you guys are all saying is that there's clearly an accounting problem with the person who's in the position. And I'm assuming there must have been other problems at some point in time that the auditors were pointing out. And it may not be able to be addressed here right now. I can understand personnel you can't discuss, but is that actually being dealt with? Or are we going to continue to pay people that continue to not do their job when we've been discussing this for months, as those of us that have come here and sat in these meetings? As a taxpayer, I mean, my assumption from what you guys are all saying is that work's not getting completed. So I don't understand that we can't continue to dump money out. Outside companies are not.
Well, I think right now we're asking a lot of questions to the right people. We have all these professionals that we're using now to try to get us to the right spot, and asking them if what we have in place should be changed or should be adjusted, and why. So, and I think we're at that point now of, okay, I think we have some answers, and I think we're at the point where with the answers we have to make a decision. That's where I think we're at now.
The audit from last week, that hasn't really been discussed, except that items came up that needed to be addressed. So I didn't know where the outcome of the meeting was last week. I know it was public in the end, but I gotta be honest, as somebody who pays attention to your selectmen's meeting, I didn't notice that it was posted as a selectmen's meeting last week, because I would have loved to have attended it to hear what they had to say. And that's my mistake for not seeing it, so.
So, to answer Daryl's question, Marlene and I had a lengthy conversation today regarding the future. And some of those same comments in the topics, Darryl, about, you know, moving forward, what might it cost, what would it cost, you need the clerk, you know, all that. So as Marlene and I spoke about it, I'm sure Marlene was going to reach out to Ed and Cindy at some point since we just spoke today, but my request of her was to ask some of those questions and find out from those organizations and those consultants and those companies that do this and do this for a living and do it with multiple municipalities for a little guidance. Because we all think we know what we need, but we don't necessarily. We know we need someone or somebody or some company to straighten this out once and for all.
Yeah, I think from a finance committee perspective, it just feels very much like a really weird position to be in. I mean, I've done this a lot of times over a lot of years, and you know, we've had times when we had to make really difficult decisions, had to do things we didn't want to do, all those things, and all those things were fine. But what I'm feeling not fine with is not knowing what we have to do, not having confidence in the information that we have, not knowing whether it's correct or not. And that just feels a lot different than when you're faced with, oh, okay, we have to make a hard decision about what to do here. Like, knowing all the facts. It feels like now we're making decisions knowing none of the facts. And that's a whole different kind of situation to be in.
Yeah. So again, I'm back to that same question, excuse me, Darryl. There's really two issues on the table. One is free cash, or the certification of free cash, based on the closing of fiscal 17, the audit of fiscal 17, the filing of Schedule A, DOR receiving all of that information and approving them and certifying a free cash number for Hatfield. That's one issue, all of which has to be done by the end of June. That's what you're telling me. Okay, there's a whole separate issue, and that's these 3 bills that you feel.
No.
No?
That's part
Why is that part of it? Because those deal with fiscal 18, not 17.
Because we are in fiscal 18, and we need to take care of those in fiscal year 18. Right? Because we need to pay the bill.
Right, but it's separate and different from the free cash issue. Well, we could not do all of that and still have the DOR certify a free cash number, correct? Or is the DOR, or is it,
Sure.
am I correct,
Sure,
Sean?
they could do that.
Okay.
But then you wouldn't use that free cash for anything.
Well, we would have it for a special town meeting or whatever going on.
Only 18 got
They
right.
could certify.
It has to be,
All those things you just described for 17
Has to
would all have to
happen
happen in 18 in order for that free
use of
cash
free
to
cash.
be used then. And given that they haven't happened in 17, you know, we might be halfway to 19 before we, you know.
Right.
That's my worry, is that we'd
order
be back here next year
in order
saying
to
the same
spend that
thing.
free cash,
Yeah.
we have to do it by the end of June.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Or wait until 18 is closed, book,
Yeah.
certified.
Yeah.
Right.
And just to say something positive, last week's meeting with Mr. Roselli was very good. And there was a lot of negative things came out, but that was good because they finally came out. And there was a lot of decisions made. And this is part of the problem that's going on, is there was a lot of decisions made. A special town meeting was canceled. Then you hear from Bay State Municipal, who spoke with the audit firm, and now the special town meeting's on again. So there's so many entities working on this, it just changes all the time. And so first there wasn't a special town meeting, then there was, then there wasn't, and now there is going to be again. And it's because there's information coming from the auditor, coming from Bay State Municipal, coming from every place. And if it was all here at the same time in one place, that would have been great, but it's not. So it's not that there aren't things coming out of it, it's just that it's constantly changing. And it's not always, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good.
This is a question for everybody up there. Are we confident that even if all of the paperwork is filed ultimately by the 18th, that we are actually even going to be receiving enough money to take care of this $80,000 worth of bills or any of the rest of it? Because it seems to me is that if they haven't even thrown out an imaginary figure that's going to cover our bills, then why are we going to the well? Like, we don't even know, we have no numbers coming back from DOR or anybody else that we're even gonna be able to cover our bills. And I understand that we need to pay them, and it could delay the process by waiting until after July 1st. But what if they come back next Tuesday or Wednesday and they're like, yeah, you're getting $30,000? We have served ultimately no purpose during any of these meetings, because we can't even pay the bills.
I would,
It's not like we're rushing, like we're trying to do 3 months worth of work in 3 days.
the only thing that we could do in that case, in your scenario, is we could elect to pay those bills out of, we could transfer money from within departments, and we could use free cash.
No.
I mean, excuse me, stabilization, I apologize.
Which, if you only have $30,000 in free cash, like, eventually you're gonna have to find the money someplace.
Right.
So it's a matter of do it in June, do it in October, do it in November, whatever. I mean, if you don't have, if we don't wind up getting the cash, you're gonna have to go find it someplace.
Right.
And
I'm just not confident in our financial situation in the town that everybody's talked about now since essentially October when this mess first started. Nobody's really talked about an actual number.
2 years.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I mean,
Yeah.
everything's kind of like, well, we're all basing it off of what we hope we might get, but our current financial situation, it wouldn't surprise me if the DOR says, this town is so screwed up right now, you guys, we're giving you the least amount possible, and then we're not covering our bills, and we're already starting to, we are now what, 18 days away, 19 days away from starting next fiscal year, and you ultimately have a lot of departments that really don't know what their budget's going to be. We have no idea what money we have.
Yeah, you did.
Well, no, we don't, because we can't close out 17, which means we don't know what bills that we have. Because if we don't have the money, the presumption is that you're gonna start coming back to the departments and asking for a bigger reduction. Because we don't have a well to go to anymore. There isn't enough stabilization to pay all these extra bills if we don't get enough free cash. If the recap sheet doesn't come in where we're thinking.
If I may, and I think the town administrator can confirm this, we were told that they will never give you an estimate or tell you
Yeah.
about how much free cash you're going
They-
to
they
get, because
don't
they
do
don't want
that,
you to
Bob.
plan on that. So that's
Right.
not a possibility.
Right.
So I can answer that
They
first part.
never give you a figure
That won't
in
happen.
And I guess that goes to my point, is that because they can't tell us and they never will tell you because they don't wanna be held liable for it,
No.
we're essentially just making assumptions of what we're getting.
No.
And we don't know what the bills.
They don't know
Well, I'm
until
just hoping for the best.
Schedule A and free cash is
Let
certified.
Louise,
They can't give you an estimate because it is all based on the balance sheet.
That's right.
Until you get that, they have the balance sheet submitted to them.
right.
They can't analyze whether we're running at our profit or a deficit. Your town accountant could give you an estimate once everything is booked, but until those are going to the state, there is no way for them to give an estimate. They don't have a crystal ball to be able to say, oh, you're gonna have significant collections of overdue taxes, or you had a windfall from a sale, or you all of a sudden started getting 20% interest at the bank and you've got a windfall interest.
Yeah.
I mean, and if somebody pays an old tax title and you take in a huge amount of interest that's unanticipated, that's where you get your free cash from. And departments that don't spend their full budget. So they can't know that until there's a balance sheet, and then they can do an estimate.
And that's what we're hoping to have on Monday, the 18th,
Well, no. Sometime next week, by the middle of next week.
middle of next
To
week.
know from
And-
Division of Local Service.
To answer Bob, from my point of view, the only confidence I have is it's both the auditor and Bay State that are telling us that we're okay with the town meeting. And I do trust those two sources. And DOR very much trusts those two sources. When Brian and I went to the meeting in Worcester, it was very clear, and Marlene, sorry, and it was very clear that it was important, and Roselli was there, and Justin was there. So that is the only confidence. Now, you're right, they could come back with $30,000, and then we got a different problem to deal with, but I think we'll be,
I'd just like to add one thing, that the financial officers have been working very closely with our Division of Local Services representative, and on a weekly basis, I am in communication via email with the Director of Bureau of Accounts at DOR. So, they are very pleased that we are making progress. They understand that we are working through issues, but we are making progress and staying in touch with them. And at the conclusion of our meeting with Tony Roselli, I think he got a sense of energy from, the Treasurer and Collector's Office, that, we're making strides to straighten things out.
Anybody else? Any questions?
So the special town meeting's on.
Well, we voted last week to have the
Yeah.
special town meeting. So tonight would have been deciding not to have it. So it's already been voted in.
We rescinded it, right?
No, actually, at the previous meeting, the board did set a date to have a special town meeting. You did not vote to cancel it yet. At the conclusion of the meeting with the auditor, we felt that we would not be prepared, and the board would have to make that decision tonight, whether to cancel or proceed.
But it's in place.
So there is a warrant.
You've got to sign the warrant.
The warrant has been drafted.
Town meeting. I mean, that's.
right? Yeah, and so somewhere we've got,
So far, all the discussion I'm hearing is to go forward with the special town meeting. I don't know if either of my colleagues have a difference of opinion?
No, I think we need to schedule it, and then if something happens down the road, we cancel it. But we at least have to try. I mean, that's my take on it. We at least have to schedule it. I think the finance, I don't want to speak for them, but I think that's kind of how they're feeling too. Let's shoot for it and hope it all falls into place.
yeah.
I agree, and if it's $30,000, it's $30,000 we don't have.
Yeah,
Right.
agree with that
Exactly
too.
right.
Yeah.
So is there any other issues with the finance committee we have to discuss this evening?
Well, yeah, the only other, well, it's the question that Brian and I talked about is, we need answers to the question going forward. We want to make sure in 19 that we've got enough money to take care of our accounting, right? And
We don't
need
have
to-
an answer to that yet.
No, we don't have an answer.
But we might have more information.
We'll get more
in the
information
next few
tomorrow,
days.
I hope,
Okay.
or at
So
least
that can't
start
be
that.
resolved now.
Nope, can't resolve that now. We'd just be guessing. We're not very good guessers.
Well, when you put the budget together, didn't you receive input from Bay State at that point? Didn't you have a
Yeah,
proposal
that's why the
there?
$60,000, we put
Yeah.
$60,000 in
Based on
19,
that
but that was,
scenario.
that was based on,
The proposal at the time.
our accountant staying on board,
So do you anticipate a different scenario, something that varies from that at this point, or
Sure.
you are?
All options
Good.
are on the
All
table.
options are on the table. As Mr. Roselli said, we need to solve this quickly, and one of the ways that potentially it could be solved is that we decide to totally outsource all the accounting.
Okay.
And it's not we, I'm sorry, it's they get to make that
It's
decision.
an option.
So
It's all, and one thing he did say was,
Should
no
vote-
matter what
should
it
vote
costs, you need to
before
do
we
it
get into
now.
We should vote whether you're gonna have a town meeting or not.
Yeah.
I think that's still on
It's
the
on.
table, it's on.
No, it's on.
on.
As of last week.
Yeah,
So
that
Does
was,
it make any sense to move that from Wednesday to Thursday? It just gains us a day, I don't know if 24 hours or even Friday or even Saturday. I don't know how critical it is.
Town clerk was only available on Wednesday, the 27th.
Oh, really?
it's all Lydia's fault.
You've got time to pay
You
the
guys
bills too.
all leave after the meeting, I got all these
You know what I
reports
mean,
to
they do
do.
that next
Yeah, we
day.
have until July 15th.
I'm just
to pay
wondering whether-
the previous.
Chris.
So my
Up until
question-
July 15th.
My question here is, if you were to shift to outsource, so what's in the salary line of the accountant, and how wouldn't we need town meeting to shift that into an expense? And shouldn't that be on the warrant then, if we're thinking that as an option?
I think we would have some time, because we have $60,000 set aside for external consultants to help us with accounting.
Oh, I see, so.
If we wanted to then use the $56,000 currently pegged for the accountant, we might not need that money until November.
Gotcha.
And you might not need the town meeting to actually do it at all.
So you're thinking you're gonna have another special regardless?
Well, I don't know that you would need a special.
You can't shift from salary to expense without a meeting.
You can do it at the end of the
End of
year.
the fiscal year.
End of the
The end of
fiscal
the
year.
fiscal
you
year,
can.
the
Yes,
Board
you
of
can.
Selectmen and Finance Committee have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Really?
But
Really.
it's for the account, it's not for the accountant, right? It's the accountant's salary. which,
Correct.
depending on what kind of a structure is established, if you outsource it, you may have a data entry person in the office that would get paid from that line item.
That's right.
Yeah. And then you could transfer at a town meeting in the fall.
So
and
until we
explain
know-
the difference.
I think until we know what the plan is.
And,
we make a
and as
decision.
Louise pointed out to me yesterday in a phone call, we have outsourced the accounting years ago. So if that was the decision, it wouldn't be one that we haven't been down that road before. Is that
Understood.
correct,
You have
Louise?
to-
Right.
You have to line it, that's the point.
Yeah.
Expense to the salary.
They've got enough money set aside, as Betsy said, they have enough money set aside to get going.
Right,
And they
right.
can change it later.
Yeah, and I was just wondering about, we're thinking another special probably, or maybe.
Well, do we
Well-
need to review this, or somebody already has?
Well, if you don't pay
They're all
them,
special.
they're anyway.
So, when and how will the optional solutions for / Town of Hatfield Accounting and Finance be proposed, evaluated, and ultimately selected going forward? It sounds to me there's a real sense of urgency. I mean, not only today, but I mean, this is what we've been saying for the last, God knows how many months.
I don't think there's a,
I mean, you got Tony, I guess Tony is from the auditing firm.
Tony Roselli
Okay, they're
is the
separate
auditor.
from Bay State,
Oh, yes.
municipal accounting,
Yes.
but they're involved. So, I mean, and then you've got our financial team, so are these plans going to be, are they gonna surface as a result of those three entities meeting and discussing options, and ultimately presenting the structure and the recommended costs to the Board of Selectmen? How do you see that unfolding and when?
I see tomorrow's discussion maybe a determining factor on how soon we're going to meet and discuss that. So after tomorrow, then I think we're going to set a meeting for a discussion on that.
One of the agenda
Yes,
items for tomorrow's
right.
meeting.
Right. Yes.
I think in response to what Mike is alluding to too, is that it's going to definitely need to be a two-phase project, because you're looking at the end of FY '18 in some 20 days.
Okay.
And so I think you need to have a plan to deal with 18, which may be a short-term plan, and then the longer-term plan to have for permanent accounting services.
Yeah. Agreed.
Anybody else? Ryan, Cindy?
no, thank you.
Do we need to go over the warrant, just to make sure we've got?
Do the articles.
Yes, and apparently, again, last chance to add anything to these warrants here.
So Article 1 is the health insurance. Article 2 is Smith Voc Transportation. 3 is the Bay State Accounting.
Have we actually received a bill from them for fiscal 18?
We've,
Or is this
We-
in anticipation of a bill from them?
yeah, this is in anticipation.
So what if
We
they
have been
submitted-
receiving
We've been receiving bills all year from them. We just didn't, we didn't set
This
us,
is $30,000 in our accounts payable system from reflecting the bills received from Bay State so far this year. Is that?
We have not received $30,000 worth of bills right now. Is that what your,
Okay.
is that what your question?
Yeah, because technically, if we don't have a bill from them, and if they didn't send us a bill until after June 30th, it would be a fiscal 19 bill, not a fiscal 18 bill. And I'm wondering if they would be willing to work with us, given their thorough understanding of our situation.
Well, it's for services that
Right.
they are,
Services.
they're performing in
Right
this,
now.
yeah, right.
right,
You can't get a big invoice you later for.
yeah.
So we on a,
Theoretically,
are we on an accrual basis or a cash basis?
What?
We're
So
on the
If we're
base,
on cash, then they could submit a bill after June 30th, and it would be a fiscal 19 bill.
but the work was
You can
performed
pay-
in fiscal year 18. The work is performed in fiscal year 18.
So
They're gonna
it's
want to be
really accrual.
compensated.
I mean,
Well,
you
we're
have
gonna get-
until.
We're gonna get electric bills, we're gonna get water bills, we're gonna get a whole bunch of bills after June 30th for
Right, you have.
18.
You have
How about
until,
those?
you have
And you
until
a period,
July
15th to
15th
pay those bills.
to pay those bills.
Right.
That's why you're the extension into the next fiscal year.
So why can't you do the same thing with Bay State's bill and
You
and
could.
pay it out of 19? I mean,
You can't pay it out of 19, though.
You can
could
only
wait
pay
till
it out
July
of
to pay.
It's not coming out of 19, you're still paying
You
for it out
can't
of
pay
18.
18 bills out of fiscal year 19 budget. Yeah.
it seems to me we've done that in the past, but
Would have been illegal.
What Article 4 is accounting, what is that?
Oh, this is a required actuarial study.
Oh,
That's the OPEB.
Oh, the OPEB.
That is a fiscal year 19
Yeah,
expense. When the board and finance committee agreed to put these articles on, you did say that you would
Yep.
discuss in which priority based, based on the available funds.
yeah, that was the
So that is
OPEB.
So we
OPEB,
put everything possible on, and we
Right.
may or may not propose them.
Right.
right. And this was in the order in which they were
Right,
selected.
and then 5 is stabilization.
To
putting
reimburse
money in To
stabilization.
reimburse into stabilization. 6 is
40,000 for
ambulance, the
ambulance surplus.
40,000 there. 7 is, Phil's inflow, that's what is that, 48,000, Phil?
Right. So this is the infiltration and inflow project. So when we reviewed these
Yeah,
projected articles, it was labeled leak detection, or
Yeah.
leak detection study. And my understanding that was an error. And the capital planning committee is going to meet to correct that.
okay.
But I put the article on
Thank you.
for
Anyway,
what it should be.
the infiltration and inflow project. So 8 is the paramedic equipment, that's the lease, the 3-year lease, that's year number 2,
Right.
right? Then we've got Jaws of Life is Article 9,
48,000.
yeah.
Correct.
Article 10 is for the 350th, that's
900.
900 for that committee.
Article 8, just to
Yeah.
back up for a moment, we were looking at a figure of 20,000 last week. It is 13,000.
It's 13.
I
It's
confirmed
13.
that.
Okay,
yes.
Great.
good, thank you for checking into that. Okay, 11 is to reimburse CPA,
It's 46,000.
that's 46,000, and then you guys had 12, this is the
Liquor license.
liquor license, right? Adding a liquor license.
Yes.
And 13 is a utility easement, I don't know what that's for. What's that for?
That's for the athletic field at Smith
Oh,
Academy.
yeah, that's right, I do know what that's for. Yep, And that's it. That's what we talked about.
Okay, thank you.
Did we miss anything?
No, same as my list.
So, should we plan to meet in like 2 weeks? Because in 2 weeks, well, that'll be that'll be the Tuesday before.
About the end of next week,
Yeah, how about next week?
Wednesday, maybe?
There's a calendar right there.
Because we hope to have here something right on the 18th, which is Monday. Give them until Tuesday, so maybe meet on the 20th, Wednesday the 20th. We'll have a better idea of how these articles are going to play out at town meeting and which direction we're taking. I would think we'd know by Wednesday, right, Marlene? They're telling you we should know by Monday, factor in a day or two
Well,
to
Terry Williams
whatever.
will be here tomorrow
Okay.
from Division of Local Services, and I will ask him if everything is submitted on Monday, the 18th. How
So we have something to
long-
talk about on Wednesday. All right, I mean, what do you think?
Should we do Wednesday or should we do Thursday? Is Thursday a possibility?
I have another meeting
Yeah,
on Thursday.
I'd rather do Wednesday.
Wednesday the 20th at 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I should have all the information by then, right? Yeah.
So,
Okay.
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 Guys,
Like that. Anything else? I guess we'll see you at noon tomorrow.
thank
Okay,
you.
take a 5-minute break?
Yep, it's okay with me.
5-minute break? We're going to take a 5-minute break. Okay. Okay, we're back. Moving right along, going back to our topics, I'll go back to, I guess we're time for topic 3. Emergency Management Director position, so
me to leave.
you're gonna, I guess you have to step out. Okay.
John just took me up.
Since Cindy's the Emergency Management Director, she can't vote on any of these matters related to any discussion pertaining to EMD, and that's why she had to step out. Previously, we had asked Marlene to do some research, and you have an update on the research you did on the Emergency Management Director's position.
Correct. I consulted with legal counsel, and he responded to an email dated June 4th, which subject is conflict of interest issue, which you have in your packet. So as town council points out, town council did consult with the State Ethics Commission, and citing that Cindy Doty is a member of the Board of Selectmen. If she, what legal counsel is recommending, if she's going to stay on as the Emergency Management Director, then she would need to resign her position from the Board of Selectmen. So the first question was, the board had, can the Board of Selectmen appoint a colleague as the Emergency Management Director? And the answer is no.
Now, so I got this right, the way I understand it, and you can tell me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is right now Cindy's Emergency Management Director working under the Fire Chief.
Correct.
And she's taking a stipend for one position and not both. So
That's right.
right now, the board, if the board chose to do so, they could continue the appointment in that capacity.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
But if the board decided that that position should be under the Board of Selectmen, then in order for Cindy to stay, she would have to resign from the Board of Selectmen for 30 days and then reapply. So I just want to make sure I got it right as far as that.
Ed, if I may?
Yes.
So I agree with everything you said. So the direction, the request to the Board of Selectmen to move that position under the Board of Selectmen was from the fire chief, the police chief, and the emergency management team. All three of them wanted that under the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen didn't ask for this. I just want to make that clear. Having said that, I think it makes sense that if we're going to be in charge of that person, that we post the position, see who's interested in it, and if Cindy happens to be the person that is the candidate chosen, given all the candidates, then she has an option. Her option is, I'll take the emergency management director position and resign as the Board of Selectmen, or I'll stay on the Board of Selectmen and give the EMD position to candidate number 2. I mean, to me, it's that simple.
Well,
Really, I mean, those are the options. I mean, I'm following the lead of our emergency personnel, fire chief, police chief, and emergency management team. And that was their recommendation,
But
so I don't know who we are to not follow that.
I got to ask one question, Brian. When they recommended it, did they realize that Cindy would have to resign from the board in order for that position to be under the Board of?
I don't know, but I guess I would suggest that that doesn't matter who the person is. It's where the position should be, regardless of who's sitting in it. They shouldn't be doing this for Cindy. They should be doing this for the emergency management director, whoever's sitting in that seat.
But I mean, presently what you have is you have a person that's qualified and trained as emergency management director for the town of Hatfield. That's highly recommended by MEMA. The person's also been to Boston to give classes for other emergency management directors. So now that we've come to find out, if we move this position under the board as recommended, and I'm not sure if they knew that this was going to happen, then what would happen if Cindy doesn't resign from the Board of the Select Board, then she would be disqualified for applying to be Emergency Management Director. Would that be correct?
It would be.
To accept the position, I don't think it would hinder her from applying for it, because it doesn't mean she's going to get it.
Right.
Right?
Right. Oh, if she remains on the Board of Selectmen.
She could
And
apply
applies.
No, the question was if the board decides to move the Emergency Management Director under the Board of Selectmen, right?
Right.
Then if Cindy wanted to continue in the capacity as Emergency Management Director, she would not be allowed because she's on a select board.
Correct.
Correct.
Correct. So by taking the action of moving that position, you would disqualify her from continuing as Emergency Management Director. And again, I don't know if the whole department was aware of that by moving it, because the department, the emergency management team, had strong recommendations on Cindy remaining as Emergency Management Director. So, but then again, the question is, if I say keep her in that capacity under the fire chief, and you say no, the question then becomes if her appointment, does her appointment end at the end of the month, or if we're in a stalemate, or does that appointment continue?
And actually, I just spoke with Cindy prior to the meeting, and she made me aware of something that I'm not familiar with, and I will have to research it unless the town clerk has knowledge of this. If there isn't a vote to extend the appointment or appoint Cindy as Emergency Management Director, she still continues as Emergency Management Director. I'm not familiar with what staff, I don't know.
But is that if she stays as Emergency Management Director, it stays under the fire chief, and the fire chief then still continues to be her boss?
Correct.
Correct?
Yes, that would
Right,
be.
If they don't vote tonight to remove it, to take the position out and have it under the selectmen,
They leave it
which
under
then
the fire
changes all the other
department.
stuff you guys have talked about, and it stays the way it is, then it stays under the fire chief being in charge of the position. I mean, I know she holds a position, but he's still in charge of the position, or whoever the fire chief is, whenever the time comes.
Right.
Yes, Ed, go ahead.
Okay, under section 20, this is according to the Ethics Commission report, okay, Cindy had received, okay. Under section 20, while you serve as a municipal employee, you may not have a financial interest directly or indirectly in the contract made by the town. If you meet the requirements of an exemption under 20, however, you have a financial interest in a contract made by the town. Selectmen's exemption. It appears that you have used the so-called selectmen's exemption. The exemption is available only to a person who already is a municipal employee and then adds on the position of selectman. The selectman includes a number of restrictions, okay? And that goes on as one is you may receive compensation either for your service as a selectman or for your work in other municipal positions and so on. So,
but that's under the current way, Ed. If you change this position and take it out from underneath the fire chief, you're changing the criteria of the job, which is then in turn why she can't any longer hold a position. If you follow the ethics rulings that we all take every year for our positions, that's what it clearly states. You can't change a job.
her position has never been underneath the fire chief.
Yes, it has.
The financial, I was there when that was voted, okay? The financial end was underneath the fire department. The position was recommended by the emergency management team, okay? And the director and chairperson position are decided by the membership.
Well, I don't know.
The
way
reporting
it
structure
was,
is to the fire chief, Ed. It's in his contract that he's in charge of the emergency management director, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the contract.
I mean, this is the charter. This is the charter for the emergency management. You can't change the charter unless you guys change the charter at some point.
Well, see, I'm not sure on the charter because I've been under the opinion that Cindy works under the fire chief since I came on board. That's what I've been told. The fire chief did her time. The fire chief did her budgeting with her. And the fire chief oversaw the operations because I was told that that position got moved under Chief Belden, because there was a time that they thought Chief Belden was going to be emergency management director. This is what I'm going by. And right now, with legal opinion, our legal talking to the ethics board, what I'm hearing, well, I don't know. I'm not sure. We got to do some more research.
Well, town council cites that in his legal opinion.
Yeah.
The legal opinion from legal counsel cites 268A, section 20.
Okay, answer to questions. And this was sent from Amy Nee, the Ethics Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have a copy of this, Marlene, I believe that.
I have a copy of the legal opinion from legal counsel, Attorney
But
Mullen.
this is the one Cindy got from the Ethics Commission when she inquired in writing.
And legal counsel got his opinion from ethics too, correct?
Well,
Correct, and in his legal opinion, he references his conversation with Ms. Nee.
but the bottom line is, the reason that was moved, the financial end of it was moved back when the other director was in there, the funds were not being properly spent, okay? So I sat on the board at that time, we took it away from him and put it under Bill Belden as far as that portion of it. And that's all that ended, because the charter and everything else states in here exactly how it's set. So I don't know, unless it was changed by the selectmen after I left, but I know it wasn't changed when I was there.
I don't know. I don't know legally if the charter got changed or how.
The charter was not changed. Let me rephrase exactly what I said when I first spoke tonight.
Okay.
Last meeting, we sat here and the chief and the emergency management team came and we had a letter from the fire chief, from the police chief, and said, we think the emergency management director should be under the supervision of the Board of Selectmen. I immediately said, wait a second, I'm not appointing one of my colleagues to a paid position where they're going to get compensated without some sort of a process of finding out how we get the candidate in. I'm not just going to be a a blank check or the look of impropriety or any sort of collusion. And come to find out, that's exactly what the attorney said in the Mass General Law. This isn't Brian, this is the attorney in the Mass General Law. So I'm just following the lead of the emergency management team and our police and fire chief. I mean, don't they know best? They're the ones doing this every day. And it didn't work out the way they wanted? Well, they should have thought of that beforehand and checked things out, because it's about the position, not the person. Regardless of who's in that position, that's what this is all, this is what this should be all about.
The emergency management team was always a separate entity, okay? That's why this charter was set up the way it was, okay? You can't take that away unless you change it, okay? And I'm not sure if this was at town meeting or it was voted, how it was voted either by the state or whatever, but the charter was created, okay? That can't be changed unless it's officially changed.
I don't have the charter in front of me, and I don't know what you're referring to. The charter is how the emergency management, I believe, committee is set up. We're talking about the reporting structure of the head person who's getting paid $6,000 a year as the emergency management director,
Right.
which is currently in the fire chief's contract as he is the supervisor.
Okay. In here, it says one member can represent more than one category. Terms of appointments are to be staggered. Director and chairperson positions are decided by the membership, okay? And then it's appointed by the board.
But, Ed, I tried discussing this in our committee meeting too. That charter is for our committee. All of us that hold a position on that committee are appointed by the selectmen. Each of us have our own individual roles. So we're not talking about the emergency management committee right now, we're talking about the director. And the director currently falls under the fire chief because of changes that were made a few years ago, for whatever the case may be. But back when the positions changed and they put it under Chief Belden, that position's fallen under Chief Belden for the last couple of years, and now there's a new chief. So now we have a chief, fire chief, a police chief, and our committee that has said we want it to be underneath the selectmen, and these are the guidelines. If the position of the one person who is appointed to our committee is moved out and put under the selectmen for them to be in charge of that person or position, then that means whatever legal counsel is saying is what they have to follow. It's not, we're not going against the charter.
So I guess
I'm not gonna argue it, because I know I was there when it was voted. I know it was said, and I know how it was said.
So the question you're saying is, originally, a charter was established, and the question then becomes, were we legally allowed to change the charter, or is the charter what it is? I don't, it brings up another question.
I think the charter is regarding the 13-member, or however many members you have on it these days,
It
committee.
specifies the whole, what.
Yeah, school committee, DPW, fire, all that. That's what the charter is for, the committee as a whole, not the director. The director used to be under the Board of Selectmen.
To us that we will have a member of the
Yeah.
DPW, a member of the school. The whole list is right there, okay?
So we're not affecting the charter at all.
So again, the question I'm asking you is, the charter you're citing, does it state who the emergency management director is under, or does it state that the emergency management director is the independent?
It says they're appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
No.
Okay.
I believe the charter seems to contradict itself. The charter specifically is for the Emergency Management Planning Committee.
That is correct.
That is what the charter is for.
Correct.
The purpose, the very first line, underline, is under the functions of the fire chief, and then the purpose of the Hatfield Emergency Management Planning Committee falls underneath that. Further down, the membership, where it lists each of the 13 of us or 15 of us that are currently on there, it says the terms of the appointment to the planning committee, ultimately, the director and chairperson positions are decided by the membership. Under the planning committee.
So it doesn't say anything about who the emergency management director works under.
Everybody's under the fire chief.
If you take that first line, it is under the position of the fire chief, or functions of the fire
Or you
chief.
take it as it works for the committee.
So under that, the emergency management director works under the fire chief.
Is that the charter that's on file with the town clerk that you're looking at?
Is that what?
The chart you just said is under the the function or management of the fire chief?
It's his purpose.
Purpose.
Under-
And what-
under the
which-
functions of the fire chief.
There you go.
Okay, but I'm just not
You're the fire
seeing
chief.
it in the,
And what I'm
I
saying
don't
is,
see that,
the
but,
reason that was put under the fire chief was for financial and not the position.
you're looking at the charter for the Emergency Management Planning Committee.
So regardless of how it's worded there, I know what I voted when we had that meeting.
When was the meeting?
What's that?
When was the meeting where
About
that?
7 years ago?
But it depends on what's on file, right?
Pardon?
It depends on what's on file with the town clerk.
Well,
Well, what's in our packet is the charter that's on file with the town clerk, and the language they were just reading, I have not been able to identify that. I just want to make sure we,
How it was, the only thing that we asked for was the funds to go back into the emergency management's line item, okay? That the emergency management team controls the finances of that. That's the key here. Irregardless of who the director is or whatever the case would be, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, the question is, you guys did make a proposal to move the emergency management director under the board, correct? I mean, originally.
Right.
And under that opinion, but, I mean, was the opinion made not knowing that the emergency management director would probably no longer exist and have to be redone? Because the way it is right now, if I got this right, if the emergency management director stays in the position and the board reappoints, if the board decides to reappoint, then everything's fine. But if you move the position, then the emergency management director that we presently have would not be able to apply, work in that job because she can't work under the board because she's a selectman. So,
Correct.
I'm just saying.
So basically, is what you're saying is you're just gonna leave it the way it is?
What the
No, we're gonna continue to
attorney
discuss
and the
it.
state ethic board's saying. Our attorney, who had talked to the state ethics board, said, if we can't have a colleague, we can't say, we're gonna take our colleague and now you work for us, basically.
I understand that, but did he also mention a selectman's exemption because she's been in that position?
It was also, they reviewed she's a special municipal employee, but the way it is right now, if she remains meaning under a special municipal employee, she had the position before she came on board.
Right.
Because she had the position before she came on board, if the board reappointed, she could stay in that position under the fire chief. But if at this time the board decided to move that position under the board.
As recommended by the fire chief, the police chief, and the
If the
emergency
board,
management
excuse
planning
me, we
committee.
understand it. If the
Well,
board
let's get it
decided
out
to
there.
move that position under the board, then she would have to resign from the board for
I
at
hear
least
you.
30 days and then reapply.
I hear you.
So
I
if the
guess
board,
there's a discrepancy between how I know it was voted versus what you're trying to do here. Okay, it's not taking her, it's taking the funds and moving it from the fire department over to the emergency management. That's what's most important here.
And that might have been the concept 7 years ago, but that's not what it says. It says everybody on that committee is under the fire chief right now. And then the proposal was brought to move the position out from under the fire chief into the board. That's the bottom line with this whole thing. And now we've got the specifics of what can and can't happen if it stays as it is, if it stays under the board of selectmen, whatever.
So then you leave it the way it is, leave it just the way it is, don't touch it,
No.
but move the funds over to the other side.
We're not worried about the funds. I shouldn't say we're not worried about the fund. Our concern here, Ed, well, yes and no, but we've got a proposal that was brought before us last week, and we've got to make a decision how we're going to go with it.
One option might be, we're a small town, given the extenuating circumstances of the person who holds this position at this point, holds both positions. I'm a little unsure as a townsperson as to whether or not the emergency management committee, the fire chief, and the police chief were aware of the fact of what has been revealed tonight from a legal standpoint regarding holding both of those positions.
Right.
If I were you guys, I would toss this back to each of those departments and say, we have found out and discovered information that we do feel you should be aware of at this point. And we would ask you to take all that under advisement and come back to the Board of Selectmen with your recommendations with that as a reference point. And give them a time frame, and receive recommendations again with that as a, you know, as a bit of information that they may not have had when they made their recommendations.
They should have had it.
Well, they should have.
Or maybe they did have it, Mike, right? So everybody, you know, you're right.
Well, you can ask them if
It's a
they-
small
if they
town.
had it, you know.
Well, nobody's come forward since this got, you know, brought up last week. And we haven't heard anybody making a change. Ed's the first person tonight, and we're talking about the position. I think that it is obvious that this is about the person and not the position. And that's not how it should be. It should be about the position. If the chiefs...
This is not about the position.
It is about the position, Ed.
No, then you're taking it personally if you think it's a position. We're not taking it personally. We
I don't
felt
even
that
know what
we
you're
wanted to
talking
be
about with the
separate,
money.
just
You
like
keep
it was
bringing-
in our very original. Pull the money into the emergency management, leave it there, and leave it alone.
So we're talking about the emergency management director position. That's what we have to make a decision on going
Well,
forward.
you're appointing them. Okay, you have to appoint that position.
Right, ultimately,
Based
we can
on-
post for it first, based on experience, based on backgrounds, based on whatever the board, whatever we decide we want to have.
Based on what our recommendations are. And that's how we run that. Okay, that's what it says here.
No, we will make the decision, because we're the Board of Selectmen, and we do
Yeah,
that. Oh, okay.
You appoint,
Right.
okay? But it says right in the charter that we make the decision to who we want to bring forward, and then you guys appoint it.
No. So then
That's
then what
exactly
good is
what
it
it
having a
says.
Board of Selectmen if they're just going to be a rubber stamp for whoever you guys bring forward? That's not, it's not, your charter can say all it wants, but the Board of Selectmen are ultimately making the decision. Like we do on all appointments. We don't leave it up to a committee. If you want to appoint you as the chairman within your own committee, that's fine. But we're not appointing, as far as I'm concerned, we're not appointing someone that's recommended to us automatically for a $6,000 stipend. There's going to be a process in place. That's my opinion. And the process should be to post a position. We can extend the current emergency management director for another month if we have to while this all gets played out.
I'd say we extend the director for another month until we get this issue resolved.
But we've got to resolve it. We can't, yeah, I mean, you know, we've got to have work on it. We can't just keep kicking the can down the road.
I mean,
We originally extended the position for a month when we knew we were in the financial situation, but we knew that there was a proposal coming forward from the Emergency Management Committee and the chiefs of police and fire, and we didn't even know what that proposal was. We just knew there was something going to be brought forward. Well, here it is. The proposal is to move the position under the Board of Selectmen, which I believe it used to be, maybe in the beginning, and then they moved it, you know, under Chief Belden.
The position-
And now it's coming back.
The position
So,
was
you know,
appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
I know it, but the emergency management director, I think in the beginning of this, reported to the Board of Selectmen.
That's correct.
Then it was moved over to be under Chief Belden, and now it's being asked to be brought back under the Board of Selectmen. I mean, the easiest thing we could do, in my opinion, is make the fire chief and the police chief co-emergency management directors. Give them a little more salary and let them do it. They're here every single day.
Understand the process, Brian. You're talking where you don't even understand. It's time you
Oh,
learn.
no, I understand
It's
that.
time you learn how it works.
I
okay?
understand.
You have to get educated on how it works.
I know how it works, Ed.
No,
And
you
it's
don't.
not a rubber stamp.
You
It's
don't
not
know
working with a
how it
rubber
works.
stamp, I can tell you that much.
You think it's easy to just run the fire chief or the police chief, but when they're out there doing their job and you've got an emergency and you need somebody in the EOC
Yeah.
to run the show, that's a whole different show, a whole different ballgame. So you can't have the fire chief, you can, okay, some towns do, Okay,
I know it.
but is it
The
right?
majority.
Is it best for the town of Hatfield? No, it's not the best. We've been running this thing here for 40 years, and it works fine, it works great. We've got 12 people, shows up every time we have a meeting. We understand when there's an emergency, what our jobs are, what we do, and make it happen. And we work for the town of Hatfield, and we do a damn good job, all right? So,
No one's disputing the quality of the job
but when
you
you
do.
start saying things like merging it with the chief and merging it with the fire chief, the police chief, okay, that's not okay.
In your opinion,
In the whole committee.
12 of you
feels that way,
opinion. Well,
Okay, we've been a board, we've been a team for, right along for many years, like I said, okay?
yeah.
It may be in your opinion or somebody else's opinion, but if you look at our outstanding records in the past 20, 30 years, we've been recognized by the state, we've been recognized by the federal government, okay? I mean, people have come from California to just see how we operate, just so they can see how the federal government says, you know, Hatfield is a role model for this whole thing, all right? That's what I'm looking at.
So basically what you're saying, Brian, if I'm hearing what
I
you're saying.
don't doubt any of what you just said, by the way.
Tell me if I'm right or not. So if we go through the proposal to move the position underneath the board, then we would lose our current emergency management director, who's highly trained and qualified and recognized in the state.
Well, no, not necessarily. If we posted the position, as I asked a couple weeks ago, or suggested, then anybody could apply for it, and if the emergency management director, you know, kind of rises to the top as who we would want to appoint, she would have to make a decision. I either want to be a Board of Selectmen member, or I want to be an emergency management
So
director.
she would, if she.
And that's not me, that's
like
the law.
So that's right. If we decided to move the position, then she would have to resign from the board if she wanted the emergency management director's position and reapply and wait at least 30 days.
Well, I would word it differently. I would suggest that, should it come under the Board of Selectmen, we post a position, Cindy applies for it and might be the only person, whoever. If she's the best candidate, and that's who we want to appoint, she's still on the board, by the way, at this point. She then can say, I'm going to turn down the emergency management director position and remain on the Board of Selectmen, or I'm going to take the emergency management director position and resign from the Board of
So
Selectmen.
that would force her to make a decision that she would either be on the board or resign and apply for emergency management director, right?
Correct.
So
That's
that-
how I interpret this.
I don't know if that's fair.
That's how I
though.
interpret.
Or keep her where she is, or put her underneath the police department.
Or you can keep her the way she is and leave it go.
But the key thing is to get the funds where the emergency management can know where to spend them, okay? The reason what happened was, quite a few years ago, we lost grants from the state, okay, because she was told she couldn't work, okay? She only had so many hours, and she was told by one of the members of the Board of Selectmen that don't let her work over so many hours, so we ended up losing the grant. That I don't ever want to see happen again. That's Town of Hatfield lost quite a few thousands of dollars that year, and that was not okay.
So being that it's, the position itself is averaging out to, I believe it's about 6 hours a week, is what when you break it down. Having written a couple of grants, I realize that some of them are timely and they take a while, but most grants you can manage if you do your time wisely. You shouldn't be waiting until the last minute to file the grant. So if you know well in advance, you have plenty of time to be able to work on it, if that's your 6 hours a week to be able to do things. The other question that I have is that if the position comes out from underneath the fire department, can that actually happen? Because currently when you look at the budget, the emergency management line item is currently listed under the fire department, which would require it to be voted on at town meeting, correct?
Right, Bob.
So just making sure we clarify, so even if you folks up there make a decision sometime in the next 30, 40 days, we still can't technically move the position out from the fire department until another town meeting
Right.
to appropriate that.
That's
So the,
that's
Mr. Lesko, the finance part is what you keep coming back to, of that it's all about the finance and having the ability for having the emergency management director to have the finance side of it still can't happen to another town meeting,
Right.
regardless.
That's correct.
Okay, just making sure we get that as well, is that
Yep.
you guys can vote, we put somebody in, we put her back in sometime in July, under the Board of Selectmen, under the police chief even. The funds are still under the fire department until the next town meeting,
Right.
regardless.
Or.
Well, this is a
special town meeting,
reporting
special
structure.
town meeting, you take it out.
That's not going to change.
What?
That doesn't have to change. The emergency management director can still be part of the emergency management committee, which is under the fire department. So I don't think it doesn't mean the salary has to come out and go into a Board of Selectmen line item.
It's the funds that need to be pulled out, okay?
Yep.
Because.
We'll get clarification
Because what
on that.
happens here, Brian, if there's a problem that we need more money and we only have $6,000 in that account and an emergency or something comes in that we have to get more, we can go to the finance committee and say.
Ed, I agree. That's a totally different,
Right.
I get
But
it.
that's why it needs to be separated from the fire department. Because they're gonna say, well, the fire department, use the fire department's budget. I know what the finance committee, how they operate, okay? And that's not where it should be coming from.
So I guess we would probably be at odds right now, where you'd want to move the position and I would want to wait and get some more research. Yes, in the back.
Sharon.
Completely not involved in this conversation. Sorry, John, I told you I'd move if I was going to speak and I didn't move. But this isn't about the person, this isn't, you really wanted the money moved this whole time. So why did the emergency committee as your whole, and the police chief, and the fire chief even talk about moving the position, if the whole thing was about money to begin with?
Well, because originally, the way it was
Because now we're
set up,
changing it because it's Cindy.
the way it's worded in here, it's underneath the fire chief. And originally, it was not, it was underneath the board of selectmen. It is
Currently,
now,
it's under the
right.
fire chief,
But we
and
didn't,
that's where the money sits.
we weren't aware that there was major problems to move it back to the fire, to the
Exactly,
selectmen.
so, but the major problem is that the really great emergency manager we have can't do both. That's your issue, but that, it shouldn't be about the person, it's about the, and even if you move
Well,
it to the
it
selectmen, money
happens to
still
be
needs
about the
stay.
person because
It
of
can't
the
be,
position
because
she holds.
if there's any of these conversations that we're all having, it should never be about the person, it should be about the role. And I have no stake in this at all, so I'm just telling you from someone who sits in this office, but also lives here, that it is about the person, because you're just changing what you asked for 2 or 3 meetings ago, when you asked us to, the selectmen, I say we because I sit here, to make this change. And now that it's not going the way you hoped it was, you're asking us to change, I think. And that's not right.
It's what I'm saying is, we did not know that she could not be a
Yeah,
selectman.
so now that
and
she can't do both, you
Okay.
want to backtrack, right?
We what?
You want to backtrack, you want to take your proposal back.
Had we known that at the time, we would have voted something different,
So, because it's Cindy.
okay? But because
Okay,
there was
we're going to
an
move
issue.
along with this. I just
Sorry,
have
just
one
wanna make
question
sure
for
it's
you,
clear.
Marlene. If the board does not agree on reappointing Cindy for another month, what happens to that position at the end of this month?
Well, my understanding is there wouldn't be an emergency management director appointed. However, and again, I need to research it. Cindy's telling me that the emergency management director is still appointed. I don't understand that.
Because I did,
Then why do we have appointments that have expiration dates if people, and I'm not talking about Cindy, about any
Right,
position
right.
can remain
Right.
in that
As I said to Cindy, the
position when the
board,
term expires. I mean,
and I had said to Cindy, the board voted to extend the appointment until June 30th, at which time it would expire. If the board is not able to vote to appoint an emergency management director, there isn't anybody in that position.
Take it up
But-
next week, we'll figure it out by the 20th.
well, I'm going to make a motion to extend the appointment of the current emergency management director until July 30th. While we,
what was the motion?
to extend Cindy's appointment to July 30th,
Okay, I'll second the
or 34, whatever.
motion to extend her to July 30th to give us a chance to get some more research. Any discussion?
I guess the only thing I would say is we're even talking about this because it was something brought forth from emergency management and the two chiefs. If they want something different, then the emergency management and the two chiefs should let us know.
Okay.
Hearing nothing, I'm assuming that we should take it under the Board of Selectmen, and then the emergency management director will have an option, take one or the other.
That seems fair.
I mean,
If they don't want to
you
come back and converse, then that's, I can understand.
And reasons why.
Okay.
Reasons why, because there was a reason it got brought for us in the first place,
Yeah.
and now it's like, uh-oh, guess we shouldn't have done that. They're backpedaling. And that's okay. Yes, it is. That's okay, because that's how the world works. But,
What was
you know.
originally the way it was. That's all we wanted, it was to put it back the way it originally was, period.
But now you don't, Ed.
But we can't do it because the law has changed.
No,
Okay.
you can, but the things have to change. Pick a,
So then you
pick a
leave it-
position.
Leave it the way it goes.
Okay, Cindy,
We'll see if we can get.
So,
have a motion, have a second. We've had discussion. All in favor?
aye.
So be it. So Cindy's extended to July 30th to give us time to research these other things, so. Which is, how does the charter play into this? Can we, if we move the position, does it have to go to town meeting, et cetera, et cetera? All right. I'm going to move right along with the next
Yes, why
topic.
don't you wait for Cindy to come back in?
Yes,
Yes, please.
bring her back. We'll go back with Phil when Cindy gets in here. Topic 9.
Oh, the abatements?
We're moving to topic 9. And
Cindy's
you're
just
all
wiring up.
settled in. Before us, we have some applications for water sewer abatements, correct? And the first one on the list, the original bill was $1071.77, and they're requesting for an abatement of a $901, adjusted bill for $170. Can you tell us about what happened with that one, Phil?
This is for 77 Depot Road. The
Yes.
bill was 8 times higher than normal. We really don't have a reason. It could have been the meter, it could have been there's a leak. We really don't know. The people requested the abatement due to the fact that the bill was 8 times higher.
The meter was fine?
The meter's fine.
Did they water the lawn?
I don't know. I can't tell you that. I just know that
September.
what we read in the meter, and that's what came through the meter. So I can't tell you if the meter, there's nothing wrong with the meter. We didn't change the meter out, so.
So if you guys have a question on a meter, how do you
If
test
there's a meter
it?
question, it's a $50 fee for us to send the meter out to check it.
Okay.
And that didn't happen, so.
This was an anomaly, I guess. I mean, it was only one, haven't heard anything since, right? This goes back to October.
Correct. No.
You know what I mean? Otherwise, they
Yes.
would have been in November and whatever.
This was the only
December.
abatement where the meter jumped, because, the 2M billing is the 2M or the 1M.
Oh, yeah, 6 months.
The billing cycle, is high during the summer, so.
Right.
And that's when it was. The 1M is the billing cycle during the summer months,
And she did bring this abatement in the fall,
so.
Right.
and we do believe that there was a leak at her house, according to Tony, who's not here. And I feel awkward having to go this route, but I think it's the right thing, because we have so many of these that come through my office, because I collect the bills, unfortunately. Not unfortunately that I collect them, but they end up having to deal with me. So that's where all 3 of these, I referred to Tony, who runs the water department, to get his take on all of these, because I've the one been communicating with these townspeople. So he believes that there was a leak at the barn, at this property. So maybe Phil didn't know that, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, but when I spoke with Tony about it, there's a leak. And so the water has now been shut off to the barn.
All I can tell you is there's nothing wrong with the meter.
Exactly, but I think you need all the facts, so.
So this is from October, and when did they apply for it? You know?
No, November, so it's just been sitting. December.
And it took this, how, is that natural for it to sit for 7, 8 months, 9 months?
I don't take care of that part, so, sorry.
Because we had this discussion last year when we had a couple other ones, and I thought there was a system that it was going to go from DPW director to your office to us, was the way I understood it. Is that how it's going?
So,
that route?
back in October, November, I was the assistant treasurer collector. This got brought in, it sat in Laura Lee's off desk, I'm guessing. So when I, kind of took over in that situation, that's when, I started doing the research on these and went to Phil and said, hey, these are the ones that are outstanding, because I don't think he was even given them in a timely manner at that point. But since then, I don't know what transpired. Unfortunately, like I said, they come to me because...
Just asking, it goes from the DPW to you and then gets approved by the board, and we discussed that's how it's supposed to go last year, so is that how it's going this year?
So they're coming to me and then going to...
Yeah, I think that the system, that the structure was a little array, that they went and they made out the abatement and handed it to the treasurer.
Exactly, because they have the bills sitting there. Phil's a busy guy, he's not always in the office. I'm always sitting in this town hall, so I take all the information and then I hand it off to him, which maybe I shouldn't be doing, but I'm the one here most hours, so I take the applications and forward them on.
And it's been working well since.
Yeah,
Where
I
you
think
come
that's
in with
fine.
the abatement.
Anybody new, we've handled quickly.
Yeah, so we've turned over a few of them, it's that these were sitting on the desk that no one.
We had to do the back stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
This was so since 2017, this was date of issue, that meter's been checked again to,
Yeah, so she's been billed her next billing cycle and it was fine.
Yeah, so
And
it's
no
just
meter
that
was
one.
changed.
It's just
and
that
everything's
one.
fine.
Yes.
And she thinks there was a leak or something, but you never found any confirmation of excess
Sure,
water.
if there's a leak in the house, it's up to the plumber to check, so, we can help them out, but.
All right. And you feel, since you've submitted this, you feel this is legitimate? Okay.
I don't. I feel that there was a leak in the house, or a leak in the barn, or something was leaking.
Okay,
And-
so it
and
wasn't, the leak
I-
was not on town property.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. I just did the average for the abatement on this bill, when we went through all the bills. That's where her average was, to adjust the bill to what the average was. During that time that this bill was $1,071, obviously something happened, because right now the bill's back to normal. So there had to be a leak in the house, which, oh well.
Yeah, it's always kind of that fine line of what's up to the end user, right? Or the resident versus what's up to, where's responsibilities lie and change and things like that.
I mean, the only thing we do is we read the meter. If the bill's high and they feel something's wrong with the meter, they have to submit a $50 fee. We take the meter out, put a new one in, send the meter out to see if it's legitimately something's wrong with it, which 99% of the time isn't.
Right.
So.
And if it was, that's
If
when
it
the
was, then
abatement
we
would
abate
be,
it.
that would be a
Yes, because there's been a few,
legitimate.
there's been instances where the meter jumped a couple numbers, and that happens. But
Okay.
now, I can't see that this particular meter went from not working right to now it's working right, because we didn't change it.
Did you say 99% of the time that the meter is working fine? Is that what you just
Well,
said?
most of the time. I won't say 99% of the time, but
Most of the time, yeah.
sometimes when you send the meter back and it comes back that it's functioning normal, but sometimes in the meantime, that, like a number will jump, you know what I mean? So it went from, say, 8,000 gallons or 8,000 cubic feet to 10,000 cubic feet for some reason. But when they run it on their test, it runs fine, so. But
So your recommendation was
to deny this,
To deny this one. Because it's on their property?
because right now the meter's working fine.
Right. And there's been no further conversation, oh, we found something or anything like that with the owner?
Well, she submitted she has submitted this saying, that her bill was 8 times higher due to the fact of some reason. What that reason is, I mean, and
The meter's fine.
I don't know. We don't know.
Well, and past practices, if it's a leak, we don't grant, right? We don't grant abatements for that. There's been other instances.
Ed, I just want to mention back when I was selectman, we had a house that flooded out, okay, because the pipe broke, and we did not reimburse them because that just wasn't our fault, and the meter worked fine, but the pipe broke and filled the cellar, and their insurance paid for that.
You feel badly and you feel empathetic,
If you
but
set a
there's,
precedence, then,
right.
we didn't set a precedence back then, so I just wanted to give you that input.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
sometimes you have accidents where pipes break internally and you don't catch that leak for a period of time,
That's what
so.
happened out there, and
Yeah.
the water was running out the window, if you remember, I think you were there, Brian.
Like just starting, yeah.
So I asked my colleagues what would they like to do on this.
Well, I think given the circumstances, I don't think this qualifies for an abatement. So I don't know if we actually need a positive motion to deny the abatement. No, I'll make one. So I'll make a motion for 77 Depot Road to not approve the abatement as requested for $901.
And I have a second. Any discussion?
No, sorry.
These are on discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Next one that we have is 66 North Street. And this one, 99% of time says meter misread.
And, well, that was the thought until we've shared some information over the course of the last month or last couple of weeks where the person did put in a new lawn and was watering, but the discussion with the homeowner was that the water was on timers, but if it was on timers, they still were watering the lawn. So the reason the bill went up is because they installed a new lawn. I mean, we have an eyewitness here. So, I mean,
So in your opinion,
is that they used the water. The water was used.
the water was used and they used it for watering?
That's my opinion.
I think what a lot of these boil down to is we have to have a reason to support the abatement. And most of the time, it's got to be something that, we can prove or can't prove. So if we can prove that our meters are working fine, then I think that's what we have to go on.
And if they come back and say the meter was wrong, we'll send it out and have it, to prove our point, we'll send it out to see if it is,
Okay.
right? And then if it's
Yeah.
not working right, we can always abate it later, at a later date, so.
So this thing that says meter misread, that's not from
That's-
you guys?
No, that is,
That's from the person putting in for the abatement.
the meter was not misread.
Okay, I'll make a motion to deny the abatement request for 66 North Street.
Okay, second.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Here's an interesting one. This was dated back, why did this, can I ask why this took so long to come in front of the board?
It's been ongoing, as her email states where she's from California. She was told by previous employees that, there must be something wrong with the meter. But to the fact of the matter is that the leak was in the barn,
No, it's for the pool.
was in the pool, or something was leaking, and nobody was at home because one of the parents had passed away, the other one was in a nursing home. So the water just kept running and running. So it's mostly a hardship case, but.
So this is sort of like a hardship one where
Well, no one was there.
there was nobody there because both parents had passed away, correct? And then the water was running and,
And the daughter lives in California.
How does the water run into a pool? I could see a pool getting a leak where it runs out, but
You know,
what are you
it was going
talking
to
about?
fill, there was a line to fill the pool, I guess, and that, like, you'll have to ask Tony to specifics.
But the faucet would have to be on, right?
Well, but if
Yeah,
there's a
the,
leak
I think it was like an automatic filler, because nobody was there.
Yeah.
So if the water levels dropped, it filled the pool, well, guess what? The water level kept dropping and the thing never stopped running.
So the little backstory is because Bill wasn't, I don't think, really involved again, is that this lady came in and talked to Laura Lee. She had already paid at that point, and that's when Laura Lee said, these bills are really high, and that's where there's some paperwork there that I discovered, because I wasn't involved in any of this at the time, that she said, oh, well, this is several years worth of stuff, and now Phil and I sitting here are like, well, why would you go back several years? But that's the information that this woman was told, and, you know, so we've been gingerly trying to figure out how to handle it, because she feels that she was promised all this money, but I wasn't part of that conversation. Phil, were you part of that conversation? We don't really know what occurred, besides the paperwork that I can reproduce, in that, you know, bills were printed and this spreadsheet was made about how much water usage was done, and that was all done by Laura Lee, so she must have had some information, but we don't really know. I mean, because it's kind of a very unusual case, I would say, the best, right, Phil?
I mean, this is a interesting one because the parents had passed away, but there was nobody checking the pool, and the water kept running and filling up, and so whoever was responsible for the house never checked it. And I guess if she became the owner of the house and she never had things
Yeah,
checked
well,
out.
she was paying the bills from California, you know, so when she got, you know, the bills kept climbing every quarter or every half a year, and, you know, she said, well, something's wrong, no one's in the house.
I mean, technically, if it was her property, she should have been checking it, right?
Did the bills get paid?
The bills were paid.
So the bills are paid.
She came in to pay her November bill, her November 1st bill, and that's when the conversation was had that this bill seems kind of high for, he hadn't passed away, like, in that, you know, the mother had passed away, but the father hadn't, he was there kind of by himself. The usage was really high for one person, and I think that's how the conversation started. I mean, I do certainly remember her coming in, but then it was, you know, well, let's look at all these bills, and I don't know why that was done, and neither does Phil, but, you know, this woman calls regularly.
I guess, I mean, basically, is it the town's responsibility to check a property's owner's property? Because, I mean, until the water department gets a high reading, then they're alerted to that there might be an issue, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if they're checking meters all the time and all of a sudden the meter's sky high, they might say to the owner, hey, your meter's way up there.
So I think Tony went out October, November when she came in, and that's when, whatever the pool thing is, I don't understand it, I'm not gonna pretend to. Because now you do not replace the meter, and there's new owners in that house, and the readings have been fine. There's a little bit of a high because, you know, that was, the reading was done, so the bill was November 1st, so October and September, so there's like 1 month of high before the meter got, the issue got fixed, so the meter was set. Because I know Tony said he had a conversation with the new owner about the current bill, and that it was a little higher than even he expected, but nothing like this high. And Tony said, well, you're getting a little bit of the aftermath of that incident, but that bill was taken care of at the closing, so kind of takes care of itself. That's probably more information than you needed, sorry. So, it's a really tough one.
That's not our problem. I mean, why should we pay the bill, looking as a taxpayer, why should I pay part of that bill when it's their own fault?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's a tough one given the circumstances, because on a personal level, you want to try to help people out.
But you set a precedent.
Well, you set a precedent, and the bill's high, so I mean, I feel badly about that too. But having said that, it's not the town's responsibility to see that a bill comes in and shoots up and question it. I mean, I put in a new lawn a few years ago, way before you guys' time, but I mean, it cost me a small fortune. But I mean, I knew it because I was watering the lawn every day in the hottest summer at the time. So, I mean, I'm not inclined to support this abatement, even though I understand and feel badly that the woman's the other side of the country and trying to help out her dad. But, you know, in the email, it states out it would have been, you know, basically that someone told us, but that's not our responsibility as a town or as a water department.
But I
I'm
explained
sorry,
that to
you
her
know.
that, you know, we don't know, I don't know how many people
Well-
live in that house. I don't know if it's a high bill really, you know?
Right, and I think what happened, though, given it back in the fall, was she was probably given a false expectation, you know, by the former collector. And I think sometimes
it's the
people
facts.
try to say something and don't necessarily mean it, but it gets, you know, I don't know, I wasn't part of that conversation, but anyway, that's all I was gonna say.
No, I just like, my only concern with all of these, this goes back far, the other one was October. I'd like to see, and I know things happen that would be on your control. I'd like to see them coming. I had received emails from this person, and I told her I'd try to learn more about it. That's where I left it. You sent me an email on it. Keep the emails coming. I don't care if anybody tells you don't send them to me, which happened, I understand. They should go to all three selectmen when it's something that affects all three selectmen's decisions. So I appreciate the heads up on some of these very much. But again, it goes back so far. I'm inclined not to say yes.
So do I have a motion to disapprove?
I'll make a motion to not approve the abatement for 98 Prospect
And I'll
Street.
second that.
Any discussion? Motion and seconded to not
No,
approve?
I just hope people understand the reason where we're coming from, you know, it's,
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Okay. Okay, that was it for the abatement request, right?
Thanks, Phil.
Okay, liaisons, have you guys had a chance to look at the liaisons? Are you comfortable with that, or?
I'm fine with it. Thank you.
Sure.
Who's going to jump on the one in yellow?
I've worked with them in the past. I really don't want to again.
Thanks.
I've had, no, oh, would you think it was you? No, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. No, they were kind of difficult when we were doing a new emergency plan. It's a 5-year plan that we had to do, and they would set the meetings, and one of them was a 9 o'clock meeting, and I came in and at like 8:45. It's like, I understand the meeting's canceled for today, so I call back the office, and it says, I'm in South America, you know, and it didn't work out. And then the public meetings they set for us, they would call, we'd post them, they'd call, they'd want to change them again, we couldn't, it was less than 24 hours. So, yeah, I wasn't looking forward to that one, but.
Do you happen to know, Cindy, are all their meetings during the day or the majority of them? I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it, but I can't.
Yeah,
you know,
many of
cut
them
out
are
work between 8
daytime
and 5.
meetings.
So,
Well, I've gone all the way down to Springfield too for other things through emergency management. I've gone to their meetings to try to get plans going. And if you're Northampton, you have more money, you get taken care of first. And it really didn't help our town at all, my dealings with them. But they'll schedule anytime, just if they're going to keep it.
All right, so I guess I'll take that one then.
or we can, if they're agreeable, I mean, we can split it up. Say, here's a meeting on this day at this time. Who, you know?
Yeah, we
you
did
or
that
I.
last
Yeah,
time,
I mean,
right?
I have
okay.
no problem doing that if you don't. I just don't know how many they're during the day and not in the evening. How many I can.
All right, so-
send.
Well, that's all. We'll share it, everybody. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, just
Rotate.
split it up.
Okay.
You think they'll be
That's
okay with that,
everybody.
Marlene, as long as one of us is there?
I think, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That way we have eyes and ears on what's going on with them.
And that gives everybody 3 1/3.
Okay, so
Three.
we don't need to vote on this, right? These are set.
I'm good with
right?
them
All right,
unless somebody wants to change something.
okay.
Okay.
Next topic. Our town
Actually,
clerk
excuse
says
me. Sorry, excuse me, the Capital Improvement Planning Committee representative, that does need to be voted. That's an appointed position,
Who's doing it?
too.
Oh, me. Okay.
This one.
Is that the one you? are you saying you'd like to switch with Brian? or
No,
something?
she said that one has to be pointed,
Okay,
Appointed.
so we have to vote on that one.
we have to vote on that one, so, and you're happy with that one?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to appoint Brian Moriarty, Capital Planning Improvement Committee.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So be it. Anybody else we got to vote on?
And Cindy will, for the record, FRTA representative will be Cindy?
Yes.
And, all right, so I'm going to forward some paperwork to you that I received from them. Okay.
Okay. Now, the town clerk has said we have to re-vote on the new voting tabulator. Is that correct?
Because,
Is there a certain way we have to vote on it?
well, I printed it up in your pamphlet, and the reason is because the town clerk had a typo in your previous vote, which was picked up when I sent it to the state, so I can't just willy-nilly change your vote. So I need you to re-vote with the correct spelling of image cast.
Okay.
So it should be in the motion should be in the packet.
I don't have it here. You have it here?
It looks like this.
I made a bunch of copies.
Didn't make it into the packet.
Okay.
I thought you gave them to them earlier.
See,
They're
I did
additional?
them Originally, this said image case.
Right, they're additional
read it
documents. You
last
have them
week.
additional
No, I
documents.
don't. Mine were gone, remember? We went into executive session, I came back and they were all gone.
And then re-
I just, okay.
read that exactly.
Want me to do it?
No,
Since
they
you're the
can-
chair, or
here.
you want to do it?
Okay, then
It was in
I will move to discontinue use of our LHS AccuVote serial number 45632 voting tabulator and to begin implementing the use of a new LHS ImageCast electronic vote tabulator beginning with the November 6, 2018 state election.
Second.
A second?
Yes, you did.
Oh,
Brian, second.
Sorry, second. But can I just ask a question?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
is
open
there
for
any-
discussion right now.
So we're having a primary though, right, in September?
We've gone past that date. It
Okay.
need 120 days to notify.
No problem,
the
just
state, so,
just wanted,
yeah,
yep, great,
We missed
thank
that
you.
one.
Got it, that's all I had.
That's all right.
Okay, I had a motion, we have a second, we had discussion, any more discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, nay, so be it. Okay. Okay, unanticipated new business, we can move to topic 17. And I guess there's a request to carry over vacation. And I think we've voted for this in the past, is that correct, Marlene?
Yes, you have.
And can you explain how that works with the carryover? Is it a certain amount of time or any vacation that's unused?
See, yes, so I am requesting that all unused vacation time in fiscal year 18 be carried over to fiscal year 19, exceeding the maximum 80 hours granted in the personnel policy for myself and Sergeant Phillips.
Okay.
All right, so he's 80, departments can carry over.
They can carry
Carry-
a total of
2
2
weeks.
80 hours in their case.
Okay, so it's 80 hours for each of them. I believe
And
that's what
they're-
he's
Both
saying.
of them are over that 80-hour threshold, so.
Okay.
The policy states that if you don't use it, you
Okay.
lose it, so they're asking
All right,
you.
so the
to-
amount they have in excess of 80 hours, they would, but he didn't identify what those hours are. Okay, that's what I was, yeah. And I thought you might know what he has available.
Well, that wouldn't
All right,
matter, 'cause
so
it's-
so what the police chief is saying is that he and the sergeant have additional hours in excess of the 80 that is allowable for them to carry over, but he did not identify how many hours he has in excess of the 80.
Don't you think we should know that?
Yes,
I mean, I'm not.
and I will be glad to follow up with him and ask him what
I mean, it all
those hours
depends on,
are.
how much it is.
Okay.
Do you prefer to ask that before you vote?
Well, I mean, I'm fine with the concept, but if it's a huge number of
Right.
hours, I mean, it's going to be like, well, plus you're going to get your new vacation time right? So, yeah, that's
Well, it
all.
depends on if you're on accrual.
yeah,
which they,
so,
they accrue per month, so it's not like they get a big lump as a
Mm-hmm. right,
driver.
but you
Right.
kind of,
Still.
you know,
In your opinion?
I'd like to know the numbers, just because it just seems it's not complete, you know, and if you've done it 2 years in a row, and now you've accumulated 80 and 80 and 80, and you want the rest, you know, I just think we should know before we vote on it.
So you prefer to find out what the number is
I do.
before you vote?
I do.
That seems fair. I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
logical, but maybe
yeah.
a number before we
It's just
vote.
like, kind of like voting on a form that's not complete, I guess.
So maybe we should wait on this until we get that number for our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, fair enough?
sure,
Like
yep,
that.
that's
All
fair.
right. Topics 18, employee personnel form.
Right. And that is for an officer that just completed his probationary period. The personnel form is in the signature. I
Okay.
don't know if a copy, oh, actually, I emailed it to you earlier today, but I did not make a copy for your packet.
Do we need to vote on this or just sign it?
You need to sign it.
Okay. All right.
Is the only change making it a permanent position? Is that? Right? I mean, it's saying
Do you have it
employee
here?
personnel form, what is,
There you go. Thank you.
I don't have anything else.
well, we got to just see what,
Just the,
just want to get that clarified.
Okay, so he's going from probationary, because he completed his 1 year, he's going from
Police
probationary to
officer
full-time.
Ruddock, Ruddock?
Ruddock, Mark.
Ruddock, yep.
Okay, so you need a vote on that, or just a signature?
The signature's
Oh,
fine.
okay. Just Ed's?
All three.
Move to adjourn?
I have a couple of items. I have a couple of items we haven't finished on the agenda.
Oh. I thought we were at the end.
We skipped over.
Here in the middle.
I don't
Beginning.
remember,
Do you want that one?
thank you. Topic 10 and topic 11. Did we cover those? Yeah, under unanticipated,
Unanticipated new business,
yes.
we get that.
While
Oh,
we're
that's-
under unanticipated new business, this came up today. This is,
that's correct. We haven't discussed, we haven't covered 10 and 11. That's correct.
Or 3, I don't believe.
Okay, so under topic 10,
3, we didn't
study
finish
committee.
3. I have that too. Okay, I have a disclosure form in accordance with the state ethics statute. This is for the recently elected member to the school committee, and the Board of Selectmen needs to approve this disclosure. She works for the Hampshire Educational Collaborative, and the school contracts with the Hampshire Educational Collaborative.
This is just telling us
So the
that
board-
where she works. Okay.
But the board has to, the chair needs to sign it.
In the school contracts with them.
Right, she's already gone through ethics and.
She has.
Everything's okay, she just has to file this disclosure form with my office,
Mm-hmm.
but you all have to just approve it.
Approve it, yep.
Because the school committee's a special employee.
Okay, this is just telling us about her, that's, and we're just signing that, we read it, and we understand that she
And I
works
think it
there,
just
right?
needs the chair's signature.
Where's,
That's right.
Where's
That's a lot
I
of
think it's on the
paper.
last page.
I think it's the
last
last.
page, right here, right?
Is that it?
There's an X.
Oh, I see that.
You guys have to initial it, right?
I don't think so. Right. No, you just need his, right?
Just his signature, right.
Just you.
Topic 10 would be the study committed to look increasing BOS membership.
Right, so I drafted a charter to start with for the board to review, and certainly welcome any edits or recommended additions or deletions?
Yes.
Is this something Brian wants to be on?
Well, I think it should maybe be separate, actually. I mean, I don't mind, but
when-
to be honest, I didn't go through this whole thing yet, but.
I have some questions. When it was proposed, it talked about increasing the number of people on the Board of Selectmen from 3 to 5. And that's what I thought it was, the 3 to 5. And I believe it's been voted down twice, but that's up, to the community to decide. I don't agree, whether I agree with it or not, it doesn't matter. That's up to the townspeople. But as I read through this, it says, in addition, to gather and review information regarding benefits to provide elected officials, what types of benefits to, and what
And I
what
did
it
some
costs the town.
research, yeah.
And that just seems very self-serving. Do you know what I mean? We just had all these votes, the finances and everything else. We're talking about employees. I think it was 42,000 for last year for insurance. We were short another 20,000 this year. And state and federal law covers who gets benefits or whatever. It's usually 30 hours or whatever.
Well, this is
So-
just a draft for discussion, and I had
Right.
done some research on other communities that have done.
Yeah, but it was
Similar.
supposed to be, when we agreed to it, it was to let the people decide if they wanted to go from 3 to 5 on the board, and, to start looking at now paying out benefits. I mean, when people retire now, the town, it's not just then, it's even after people leave, you're paying insurance, you're paying pensions and everything, and, just listening to what's been going on the last couple of weeks with Mr. Roselli and with the other auditor, and they're saying we're a small town, but we have big town money problems because we have the school and we have all these employees and we have these insurance bills, and we're not affording them as they are. So we're complying with state and federal law. I don't understand why we would be looking at benefits for elected people. I would hope people, when they are elected, that they want to serve the town and do that, not looking for just the benefits for part-time work. So, I'm not for this at all. I just, we didn't vote on this. We just voted that to
Oh, I
put on
know.
there. No, I mean, even for
This is-
for the committee, and for a question we talked about on a ballot at the end was about expanding from 3 to 5, nothing about paying benefits and all these other things that are in
Well,
here.
I
So
mean, if we're going to
we didn't
raise,
say that.
first of all, the town wanted to have a study committee to look at whether we should go 3 to 5. So
Right.
this is just items that they may discuss. If we went from 3 to 5, does it cost the town any more money? Is it beneficial? I guess these are some of the options. And the town decides at the end, based on the study committee's recommendation, whether they want to accept it or not accept it, right? So,
Well, I think we're talking about going from 3 to 5, but we weren't talking about changing employee benefits. That's my question here, about changing employee benefits, some, insurance, pensions.
they might look
Well,
at that.
this isn't
for
employee,
elected
this is
officials.
elected officials.
Elected officials,
And the Board of
right,
Selectmen do
not
receive a
employees.
stipend.
Right, so I don't understand how that would even qualify for benefits. Right, do you know what I'm saying?
These are just ideas that I've put out there. That's
No, I
that's all
understand
it
that.
is.
But when we voted on that motion, it was this, yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
The
It was
study-
the 3 to 5, not, I didn't look,
Explore.
But these
I wouldn't have
might be
voted for it
there's
if
just
I.
some things that they can
To appoint a
determine.
committee.
But I wouldn't have voted for it if
That's
it
all.
was looking to now add extra benefits that the town has to pay for, and we're having trouble paying the insurance now.
Well,
May I? So I think this is a very in-depth look into this, Marlene. The intention was for a small committee to find out what the town needs to do to go from 3 to 5 members. Do they need to change a charter? Do they need to have a vote at the ballot box? Do they need to also have a vote at town meeting? That's really, I mean, that was the intention, or at least as I intended it. And yeah, you can, you can explore some of these things, but I mean, we don't pay ourselves, we don't get paid any sort of insurance or benefits or anything. Yeah, there's a stipend, and if we go from 3 to 5, 5 people should get a stipend. But other than that, I don't know. It's really, for me, it's finding out how do you go about legally moving from 3 to 5 members. End of story. And then do you stagger? If there's 5 members, you have 2 elected, 2, 2 years and then one person, like the school committee does it. There's, 2 people up, and then one. How do you get into the routine of going from 3 to 5? Because there's going to be an overlap. That was the intent of what this committee should be trying to find out the specifics, in my opinion.
I don't take the stipend, so I'm not part of that.
Right.
It's the first
Well, that's because you get another
To
stipend.
make the change, it would be
Get another stipend. That's why you don't
No,
take it.
I don't get any
Well,
stipend.
salary,
And that's not
paid,
why, it
whatever.
said right in the ethics decision you had today that I can take both.
Yeah.
I chose not to.
To make a
See.
change in the board would be a change to the charter. In my understanding, you would file a home rule petition, and it would also be a ballot question at an election.
Well, and that's the kind of stuff I think the committee should be, firming up with you, or whoever.
Town meeting also?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And basically,
said
the
ballot,
committee's
so
going to
to-
Yeah, the home
investigate
rule
whatever
petition
is
has to be
needed
voted.
That's
to,
all it is.
if,
It's not even a
Representative
study
Town.
committee, it's a committee to find out how you move from 3 to 5.
pros and
That's-
cons. That was the other thing they should, but,
No, it's what needs to be put in place to go from 3 to 5. That's what the motion on town floor was. Should the Board of Selectmen have a committee to investigate what it takes to go from 3 to 5? That's all.
so in order to fulfill the town's wishes for this study committee, what is our next step that has to happen, Marlene?
Need a committee.
Right. You need a committee.
You need people.
So you need to post a notice that the Board of Selectmen are seeking letters of interest from residents who are interested in serving on this committee.
We've had one resident already express their desires, so.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the next step. I guess we'll post and see if there's any residents
I'd leave
out
it
there.
and I'd leave it at 3. I mean, the law is going to be the law. This is how you have to go about it. Maybe just 3 members. I mean, I think 3 is probably more than enough. This was trying to take something off of Marlene's plate from doing
And the
finding all this stuff out.
So what do you think, a 5-person committee?
I think 3 is plenty, but, whatever.
Well, you
Because it's
want
going to be
5?
kind of, no, I said 3.
Okay. All right.
Have 11, whatever. We just need a committee. We only have 1, Ed.
All right. Okay, we'll start with 3, I guess, unless you have any objections.
3's fine.
3's fine, okay. Do we need a motion on this, Marlene, or is this just?
No.
No, I didn't think so, okay.
I do think, Marlene, and I appreciate all the effort that you put into this, but I do think it's an awful lot of, I don't really think this is what that committee should be doing, looking at some of these things down here.
Okay.
Just kind of simple, let's, work with our attorney if you need to and find out. And you already seem to know some of the answers. So, I mean, this could
yeah.
be quick and easy. I mean, you do have a town meeting, you do have a ballot box, and then it's just a matter of staggering an election, ultimately an election for those people,
Okay, yes.
Ed, I want to ask if you guys have gone through the appointments for the Emergency Management Committee alternates?
No, that is in our packet, and I thought I had added that under topic 3, but I don't see that listed there.
Yeah, we have it.
But it's in your packet.
Oh, it's on the agenda.
Right.
It's not under you, it's under the regular agenda. Maybe that's why.
Right.
I'll make a motion to appoint the Emergency Management Committee members as alternates as presented by the Emergency Management Committee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have to recuse.
I'll second the motion.
And you told, I'm sorry, under discussion, I was just saying you told all these people that they're going to be alternates, right? Ed?
Yes.
Okay.
We can talk about them first.
Okay, I'm kidding, sort of.
Any
All right.
discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
So be it. Okay. And note that Cindy had to abstain, right?
Yes, I recuse
Yes,
myself.
okay.
Right.
Okay. Topic 11, Town Hall renovations, Phase 2 update.
So the construction phase has been put out to bid. Subcontractor bids are due on June 20th, and the general contractor bids are due on June 29th. So we expect that sometime in the middle of July we'll be awarding the contract.
And we did have about 20 people show up, so maybe the bids will be low.
So we had a
maybe.
pre-bid conference meeting last week. Yes, there were quite a few people in attendance, and a site walk was held as well.
And there's been people here almost all week looking.
Yes, people coming back and look at things.
We have any other unanticipated business?
We didn't approve the minutes,
Oh, right.
Okay, we can go to the minutes.
and we didn't get the 29th
That's
in
right,
the
Brian
packet.
wasn't here.
Right, because
So
I
I
was
haven't seen
just,
the
I hadn't,
29th, so it'd
well,
be-
that was put down with the other documents that were,
missing.
somebody took them.
I'll start with April 25th,
I'll give
once
you
I can find them. I got to go back up here.
I just have it, I don't know what I did with it.
Here's the
Got it.
29th.
Do you want us to do that
But
one
you
for
may,
today?
you
or-
may refer, you may prefer to defer that to a later meeting because you just received those.
Do you want to read through the 29th first tonight, or do you want to do it later? Chair, the 29th wasn't in the packet. Did you want to include that tonight, or?
Well, if you want to review them, I know we received them afterwards, but
Put it on. But I'll read it now if you like.
we can hold
If you
off
wanna
on
do
them
it. No, I just want to know what you want to do.
if you need time to
You can read it.
look at them. Anyways, I'm going to, where did I go? April 25th.
Are you guys all set with those? Did I make the motion?
The first two, not the last one, because I just got the last one. The other two
So
were here.
April 25th, okay.
Yes, you can make a motion for the
Yep.
25th. Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of April 25th.
Second?
Any discussion?
Oh,
No.
All in favor?
aye. Make a motion to accept the minutes of March 21st.
Second it?
Aye. Motion made, motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Just give me a second to finish the ones we just got.
March 29th?
Yeah.
Oh, that one?
Yeah, I got them. You need to see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I
Looks
read
like we
that
had a
one
short
already.
meeting.
No. Okay. Have a motion for March 29th?
Cindy's just finishing it. Yeah, I'll do it in 1 minute. Yeah.
Oh, she was double checking.
Well, I just got it.
Okay.
This one wasn't in the packet. Second that one? Did you?
I did not,
motion?
no, I didn't
Okay,
make,
go
I
ahead.
was waiting for you to finish here.
All done.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of March 29th.
Second?
Any discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. That's it for minutes, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now do we have any unanticipated business? I get some water. If not, do I have a motion?
So we're all,
Is the board going to vote to go back into executive
Yes.
session?
That's right, we gotta.
And you
we-
will not be returning to open
make a
session?
motion to return to executive session and not return to public session this evening.
Does that have to be a roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Moriarty, aye.
Second it?
Jaworski, aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll be going into executive session and not returning. All right.
I lost my sheet. Whatever we did the first time.
Right here, that is,
We'll be under executive session, Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A2.
And do you want to come in tomorrow morning then and sign that stuff and I'll notarize it? The contract?
the contract and the signature folder?
Can probably
Yeah, we got to do signatures, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You
Okay.
want to do it in the morning? Can you do it in the morning?
We'll do them now, I guess. Just sign them, right? You're here. You got to,
So are we off? Did we make the motion and
sorry.
all three of us make the motion
There's the guy.
to go into executive session? Moriarty, I said aye, so it carried, right?
Yes.
I'm just telling, well, because John's got the camera on, so if we're in, we're going into executive session, we can.
Oh, so we'll have to do this tomorrow morning.
Right.
Want to do this tomorrow morning? Okay. Fine.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone.